We're going to take a small moment away from the Presta John investigation, just to imagine ourselves beyond the wall, beyond this wall of ice, to put our problems aside, to put our differences aside, and say, hey, we're all here together. And somehow we've been cut off. We've been cut off from the rest of the earth plane. Now, who does the Americas belong to? Who does this belong to? That belong to? Where's the California gold? I mean, yeah, we can focus on that. But sometimes it's good to get your perspective, your dragon flit eye, and look over the wall like Nehemiah riding on that beast, right? Sometimes you got to look over that wall. What's beyond the wall? Hey, for real, stop what you're doing. Just imagine, my nigga, you pulling up in a boat and bang, the only continent you got to climb up on, hundreds of feet. What's beyond the wall, man? You see the new Godzilla, King Kong? They got to go, to Antarctica to get to a vortex. We looked at many maps, showing these gateways, Tar Sancta, all kind of things. The High Amazon Queens. We've got the Perry Reese map. Perry Reese showing, even as recent as the 1600s, that there was no cap on Antarctica's chest bone, like some recent barrier just went up on a Naga. Maybe they just found that barrier. Maybe that's where their trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are going to, since they ain't going into outer space. And can they get beyond the wall? Can they get beyond the Van Allen belt? Can they get beyond the Van Allen belt? Their own scientists admit they can't get past the Van Allen belt. So how did they do it way back then when they went to the moon? Did they go to the moon? And we're going to take a small, commercial break, from the Presta John investigation, just to ask the question, what's beyond the wall, right? What's beyond the wall of ice, my nigga? Does this wall surround us like, not just these type of artistic depictions, but, many, many, many ancient maps are showing more worlds beyond the pole. More worlds. And when you start to open your eyes, you say, man, they've been showing us more worlds beyond the pole, and so many small innuendos when they blast off into outer space. How do you know the rocket don't just keep going straight out to one of these other land masses, man? Yeah, man, I mean, when you talk NASA, my nigga, when you talk NASA, I just like to take this moment to ask my niggas a question. As we searching for President John, Hosea 3 and 5, don't stop searching for the drop. Don't stop searching for the truth in all areas of our investigation, especially orientation. Because now in 2021, you can look at a picture like this with your eyeballs wide open, and you tell me if this is real. These are official pictures, my naga. If they got through a Van Allen belt, did they get through it in this little scrap metal thing? Did they scrap metal through that thing, man? Twice? Going and coming. Does a flag wave in outer space? They don't even admit to the ether. They abolished the ether, my naga. What kind of waving space wind are we talking about? They said they're in a vacuum of space. They said they're in a vacuum of space. Is this the moon? Or is this some type of Stanley Kubrick, situation? 2001 A Space Odyssey situation. Yeah, my noggin. We're just gonna ask some questions. We're gonna get to some gangster ass Elon Musk. Love to my bro Clay, man, out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Pushing the line for the noggins, man. And I appreciate you, bro. We're gonna share that gangster Elon Musk, man. I mean, that's a big part of this drop, man. Yeah, man. Cause we've been waiting to get our foot back on the neck bone of this hijacked city over here, telling us we're on a spinning ball, that they're landing on the moon 50 years ago, 60 years ago, but just can't get back there. Now we've destroyed the technology to get back to the moon. Didn't they say something like that? We destroyed the technologies. We destroyed the technologies to get back to the moon. Hey, man, this right here is gonna be brought to you by Flat Pack, Flat Pack One, aka Ether Band. I got my Ether Band plugged in. You see it right here, Ether Band One. And these are some of the tabs up in Ether Band One. 1972 Flat Earth Archives. We got some drop tracks, Flat Connected Universe video series, Flat Drop 101 radio shows, Flat Drop books. Oh boy, oh boy, yeah. Right now I'm digging in some of the Flat Drop books. And within there's this PDF that I made that contains a bunch of links and maps and books. So I pulled some of those up, man. Get your flat pack, get your ether band, hit up the drop shop, click the links below, or email me music at 432thedrop.com. And we got a few more left from our last shipment. A lot of y'all took advantage of that deal we did for the flat packs, which are usually only $45. And then the KTC hats are only 25, the KTC official blue, purple, red joint. So, what I'm saying, you put that together, that's what, $70 for 45 plus 25, plus the dry wristband, $5. So $75. And we gave it to you for only $50 this week for the drop drip of the week. And just look out for the next drop drip of the week so you can get the drop. You could have came up on your ether band, your KTC hat, and your drop wristband, my noggin. But you can always get it, man, in the drop shop, or just send me an email. Music at 432thedrop.com, man. So you got your map packs in there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you got the Japanese flat earth plane. Yeah. We got that up already. Matter of fact, let's just get to it, man. Get your ether band. A Lego. Yeah. First of all, man, it's fair use in there, Caboose Bone, because, we about to get, we about to have some fun, man. Yeah. We looking at these pictures, man. We doing it, man, for my noggins, man. We're going to be doing some commenting, some criticism, some news reporting, some teaching, some scholarship, some recon. Can you dig it? Fair use in your caboose bone. Copyright 107, 1976. Boom. Let's go. All right. Now we got that out the way. Fair use in your caboose bone. We got some things we want to talk about. We're going to have some fun. I just got some stuff up. I'll be belly flopping. And we got some, pertinent questions to ask, man. Well, yeah, man. One is the moon of plasma. Y'all remember this drop right here? I let it play. It's only about a minute 42. And then I want to ask, go back to that, you'll see. Let's go. Technology. All right, so this researcher, this reconner, I told you we're going to do some recon. All right, so this reconner says that the moon is reflecting all these areas that we normally consider on our globe, letting us know all this other land that exists. And, if it's just reflecting, if it's just plasma, then you can't land on it. It's just reflecting. And, I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just looking at a portal, my naga, or what I'm saying, some type of disc, some type of situation, what I'm saying, that, is only reflecting a certain point, but imagine even more, like it can't even show you everything, right? So it's kind of like an inverted reflection on this moon plasma situation. And why do they say that they destroyed the technology to go back to the moon? It's 2021. Come on, we waiting around for y'all to put it together. I'm going to show this Elon Musk clip, and then they're not even talking about the technology to get back to the moon. He's going to bring it up, and then he's going to start talking about Mars. All right? They ain't even talking about the technology to fake the moon landing again, right? You think that picture was real? You think they was landing on this plasma? Why can't they go back then? He's talking about, oh yeah, there should be a colony, permanent colony on the moon. Yeah, they said that 50 years ago. What happened to the technology? They admit that they destroyed it. They admit that they can't get past the Van Allen belt. They admit this right to your face if you listening. So if it's fake, I mean, look, even if you think all this is real, science is real, outer space is real, okay, cool. Even if you think that, just rock with me for a sec. I need everyone just to rock with me and just take this journey with me, my nut. Just take a journey with me. That's all I ask. And then you can come to your own conclusion. But take this journey with me. If it's fake, where do you think all this money is going? It never really quite made sense, even though we say, yeah, black ops, black budget, underground cities, boom, 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 boom. Is it just going to building up more lands and more worlds? And the reason they told us that we on the ball is so that we grow up with this finite idea of our surroundings, of our habitat, which gives them a whole nother world to themselves, or multiple worlds, my night. Because we're talking about the infinite plane flow. We're talking about how many more earth ponds are there when you get over that ice? And is the moon a plasma? So this moon is just reflecting, man, this is America here. Inverted though, right? Or not. So this is the world as you know it. So all this other land you're seeing is more worlds beyond the poles, man. I know it's mind blasting. Fuego. Uh, 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 uh. They caught that whole thing Brasilia. That's a whole nother world, man. And we're gonna go back to that other map we got. Again, man, get your flat pack. Click the link below. Make sure you got all these maps, man. This is just to catch you up on the recon so far, but the investigation continues. We just getting started. I don't know why y'all thought we was done, or our investigation was over. We was falling back. We just getting started. You know what I'm saying? We just taking a breath, man. Getting in that code, KTC, making sure we know what we do it for. Because once we get over here to this flat drop, I know knockers get real excited and they start wanting to pop off. But that's all good. But if we ain't in code, if we don't have our foundation, we're going to get lost in the sauce. This could bring you into a whole nother element that you might not be ready for. But unless you in code, that's going to, give you the dracon to pop off so you can see clearly, you know what I'm saying? With the foundation, we can get into all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? But if we just talk about all this other stuff, they're going to miss the point. So that's why we got a KTC. Then we get back on ThaWaDa. Now, guess what? We over here talking about Fuego and Brasilia on the plasma moon. What they call it again? Brasilia. Nah, Brazil? That's South America. This would be the Brazil you know. So what's this Brasilia, man? Okay. What else? My noggin, that yellow dot is the sun. When that sun is over you, it's hot. When it's spiraling over your area, it's summertime. When it's making a whole nother, circuit, what I'm saying? A whole wider circuit hitting up other planes, it's summertime for them. When it's away from you, it's the wintertime. You start putting your cycles together, you're realizing that the sun is in a certain circuit, a certain cycle, whether it's, traversing across the Tropic of Capricorn, or the Tropic of Cancer. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's going to be cycling in or cycling out. That's your summertime. That's your wintertime. And in this case, he's showing you day and night. So when the sun is over you, passing over you, right over you, bang, daytime. The sun exhausts its energy, or the sun don't exhaust its energy, you just keep going, right? You know what I'm saying? But once that passes in your area, then that's night or that's day. You know what I'm saying? Time for evening. The sun is now leaving. It's now time for a new cycle, for that cycle to come back around, right? So that's the end of the day. The sun is now leaving. It's a new cycle now. It's a new beginning. It's not just nighttime, darkness, evil night. No, the sun is making a new cycle, a new circuit. It's a brand new cycle. It's a brand new day. Let's go. So why can't they go back? Didn't they say something like, we lost the technology? We destroyed the technology to go back? I don't know, to the moon. Let's see what comes up. What's this guy say, man? I can't make this shit up.
To go to the moon anymore, let alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason, we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process.
I just want to put this together with you, my naga. I'm just surfing the wave with you, man. Because we want to put our story together. Right? When we see a picture like this, where's that? Here we go. When we see a picture of this moon landing, we got to say real or fake, right? It looks fake as shit, right? So for you to tell us this is really happening, even if you say, well, this is fake, but the earth is still a ball. Why can't you go? Why can't you go to the moon? Is it the Van Allen belt? Is that the problem? Because we got a scientist over here saying that the reason they can't go back is because they destroyed the technology. Right, we're going to get this clip of Elon Musk dropping this drop about, how we ain't been back in half a century. Yeah, we should put it on our to-do list. Gangster ass Elon Musk about to pop off. But he's not going to say we destroyed the technology. So you got to get these astronauts slipping. You got to get them in these little tiny clips, right? And then put it together, man. You got to get these scientists together. You got to get these astronauts together. He said, I'll go back in a nanosecond. But,
alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that...
That shit don't make no sense, double talking hijack. You said you can't get to the moon. How the fuck can you get to Mars? Don't let these, you know what I'm saying? Don't let these fork-tongued bastards, you know what I'm saying, try to tell you that it's easier now to get to Mars than it is to get to the mother-sucking moon. You know why they're trying to spin that narrative? Like, just notice how they talking. Man, just remember this when we get to the Elon Musk job, because he's going to kind of do the same thing about this Mars. Kind of switch the convo and make you excited about Mars. You know why? Because it might be easier for them to fake Mars than even fake the moon. Think about it. If the moon is plasma and Mars is just another world beyond a pole, they can and they do, go to Mars. You know what I'm saying? They can land on Mars. They can land on another, Earth pond. You know what I'm saying? They can go to another area. A lot of their Mars stuff happens right there in Arizona anyway. A lot of their Mars is happening right there in Utah anyway. But but nah, they can land somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? The moon, though, is very dark. It's impossible, according to certain scientists. Is it possible to land on the moon? I mean, Managa, I need your help to put this together. I need your help to get the drive. What does this scientist say about landing on the moon? It's from 1965. They're saying it, man.
Wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world.
Now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory.
It ain't no theory. It's a fact.
10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma.
I'm not saying it. I'm doing the recon. I'm bringing these scientists, call it the minority of scientists, that are going to tell you some truth, that are not a part of the, to my man Kwame, they're not a part of the go along, get along game, right? But now, you know what I'm saying, we got Ama's cooking, right? We got Ama's seasoning, right? Love to Kwame, man. We sprinkling Ama's seasoning on these, sick fork talking bastards over here, man. Talking about we landing on the moon, giving us a fake ass picture, then say that they destroyed the technology to go back. Why? They would never destroy the technology to go back unless, one, they were forced to if they went, and two, they never went. The moon is a plasma. Is it a theory? Or are we talking facts, Professor Foster?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma, a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma. And that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof the complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft-landing attempts will all fail.
I can't make this shit up. If the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. This is 1965. Con? When is the Apollo missions? The 70s and all that, right? So, according to this scientist, that is buffoonery. If NASA came to him and said, we're landing on the moon, he would slap the shit out of him because he'd been doing this for so long. How in the world could he come to such conclusions of this plasma? How do you throw that away? At least NASA should have, look into it or debunk it. No, they just give you fake ass pictures, fake ass narrative. They got trillions of dollars involved just to fake us out. And he has nothing to lose by telling us this. Or excuse me, nothing to gain by telling us this. He's just telling us the truth. He has everything to lose because he won't be a part of the get along, go along game. Let it Kwame. Man, this get along, go along game been going along for a long, long time. And it doesn't just include the sports and athletes, and it includes all these scientists, this media, the propaganda, my nigga, the straight up poison, brainwashing matrix that we're in. Put it together with me, man. I don't want to take up too much of your thought process. I'm just asking you to put this together with the nugget. One scientist says, let's go back. Oh, oh, man. Hey, my nugget. All I can say is buckle up. We about to, really start getting it in bone, you know what I'm saying? And make sure you get your flat pack because this is what we're going to be referring to. These ether packs are like our classroom syllabus, man. You know what I'm saying? And get you a syllabus. If you got a whole family surfing the wave, the ether packs are 34. The wristbands or the ether bands are 45. So, a few people could piece up and get it for the whole family, make copies, distribute it. Just make sure you got the drop so that when we go into it, you don't got you already got all the resources, you already got the links, you already got the maps, you got no problem connecting it, man, to the flat connected universe, man. You got all the drop, all the series, you got the whole Worlds Beyond the Pole series as well. And again, you got the drop links, man, and the drop links, you know what I'm saying, or got, all the drop from Ether Pack 1 as well on those. So I try to squeeze as much I can on each flat pack or ether pack. Get the drop, my naga, and let's surf the wave, man. We surfing the wave. Let's go. Is the moon a plasma or is it a rock? Plasma or rock? NASA wants it to be rock. Plasma doesn't help NASA. This scientist says NASA would never land on the moon.
Conventional principles of science, I had a definite inspiration, not knowledge as such, but an indication and a guidance which I followed and which I worked very hard and to evolve into a new structure of understanding.
Inspirations are related to thoughts of genius. Do you think or consider yourself to be a genius?
No. I consider myself to be an ordinary, humble person who wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
So he's been confirming this since 1958, confirming in the scientific community. He's not even thinking it's possible for what's about to come next, that these motherfuckers will put together this $1 trillion hoax to trick the entire Earth layman population, you know what I'm saying, that They're actually going out there, landing on the moon, and then going to Mars. But now they just want to skip over the moon. They destroyed that technology, but let's get to Mars. How couldn't you get to the moon? Why haven't you been back since the 70s, man? 50 effing years, man. 50 years, my nigga. How much technology have you gained in 50 years? Ain't that a long time in technology world? Ain't that a long time in the technology world? How much further should you have gotten in the last 50 years? But you can't recreate the technology to get back to the moon. They're not even discussing the possibility that they'll just laugh to your face, Bone, right? They'll laugh to our face. Oh, the moon's a plasma? This scientist ain't laughing? He ain't playing?
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes caught in feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out and the new concept of...
You need to understand. You need to understand what he's saying. All he has to do is prove that the moon is plasma to disprove gravity, and all gravitational theories are out the door. That's why they silenced this Dr. Foster. That's why they silenced any scientist telling them the same thing, that the moon is not a rock. That's why they faked the space missions and used Stanley Kubrick, a renowned director, you know what I'm saying, who already built the set for the 2001 Space Odyssey movie. It was already built. That's why when you go to NASA, their entire, you know what I'm saying, infrastructure is like a giant TV set. It's a damn film studio. They had to get the American population, the whole world excited. The whole world excited about something else. This was a part of the propaganda so that you no longer paid attention to exploration. Not space exploration, actual exploration to lands beyond the barrier. Exploration that was taking place according to Amadeo Giannini in the Worlds Beyond the Poles in the 20s, and NASA was, or the U.S. Navy was going hundreds, thousands of miles beyond the poles in the 20s and 30s, man. This is all documented. 2,000 miles beyond the North Pole point or the South Pole point. They were going thousands of miles beyond the point on the globe that says North Pole or South Pole. The globe don't exist. They just put a cap on it. But I'm telling you, there ain't no cap on my number 2 pencil. And there damn sure ain't no cap on Antarctica's chest bone. They put us in a simulation. All they gotta do is trick your mind, give you media, give you images. Then you say, well, why would they lie? Because the lie is so damn big, you gotta believe it. And you forgot about the little ones, right? These type of scientists that were screaming out the truth. Back in 65, he said, man, shit. Once they realize it's plasma, all gravitational theories are out. Once they realize it's plasma, don't even talk to me about anybody ever landing on this thing.
No explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes caught in feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know we're going to be able to test out your theory on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course.
He just said they're going to test your theories out. He's not thinking about Elon Musk. He's not thinking about SpaceX. He's not thinking about fucking NASA, right? He's not thinking about that. He says, yeah, okay. Science wouldn't lie to the people. Science wouldn't do that. I'm a scientist. I'm proving it. You said 11 years ago, maybe they would laugh at this. In the 50s, maybe they would laugh at this. This is 1965. This is 1965. They got to take me serious now.
It was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature from what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen.
Ooh, that will never happen. He's telling him the future because he's a part of the shit show. He's saying, look, man, they're going to land people on this thing. You sure you don't want to, change your narrative? You sure you don't want to test out your theories, you know what I'm saying, in a whole nother way? He said, these aren't theories, man.
Of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature from what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen. Not on the moon. On Mars, on Venus, on other planets, yes, but the moon is definitely, as I...
That's why they're so happy about going to Mars and skipping over the moon. Because they can land on Mars because it's actual land. Not a ball, but it's just more land beyond the pole. But the moon is definitely a plasma. Okay. Worlds beyond the pole. So this inner circle here is what you know as your ball. What you're actually seeing is like a bird's eye view. Some call it an aquidescent, azimuthal aquidescent, something like that, AE projection. It's like a bird's eye view of the land as actual just flat land and water as just flat water, for the most part. Water is always flat in any medium. Water is going to flatten out. So let's stop playing. You never see an experiment with water curving into a damn ball with mass inside of it spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. Just cut the shit. Water always flattens out, my nigga. So, okay. This center is where we live. All right, North America, South America, Africa. I'm gonna get it bigger, but this is just for perspective first. So when he's talking about Mars, right? Mars could be any one of these planes, right? They put a T at the end of plane to make it a ball, a spinning ball, a planet. What word can you put a T at the end and turn it into the inverted definition, right? So only a plane, you could put a T at the end of plane to turn it into a sphere. A plane is flat, spread out. A planet, what? It's a spinning sphere. Get that shit out your head. You've been brainwashed. You got to realize these crafty, counsel, has been made against you, man. So this is why he's saying you can land on Mars or Venus or these other planes. But when these rockets take off saying they're going to outer space, they're just going to more worlds. And the fact that they got you on one ball, they're not telling you that they're putting your tax dollars, right, that you shouldn't be paying them anyway. They're robbing you, but they're putting it into developing more worlds and mining more gold in other spots and coal and everything Admiral Byrd said they would do. Everything Admiral Byrd and the Longines CHRONOSCOPE, whatever that was, told us that in that interview that Admiral Byrd did. He said, hey, they're going to be fighting over all these resources soon. But the moon, they can't land on the damn moon. That's why they're skipping over and saying we're going to go to Mars and everywhere else. We're going to go other places. You got to factor this in and say, what if? Even if you think you're on a ball, just say, what if? Where would the money be going? You see these openings, this is how they're getting in and out, right? Because I don't think their aircraft really work like that, you know what I'm saying, past a certain point. I think they got to hit them gateways. They got to hit these vortexes like King Kong and them. Then King Kong popping up in a whole new world. Same thing with Black Panther. They fly into the mountain, pop out into a whole new world. These are more worlds beyond the pole. More land beyond the pole. I'm going to come right back to this because I know we like this map a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Did they land on the moon? Can they land on the moon? Keep this picture in mind, right? The moon is definitely a plasma, right? Let me get this one piece again. It's amazing how one scientist is telling you something different.
From the beginning of consciousness, rather more than this theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Soft landing attempts will all fail.
If the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Self-landing attempts will all fail, is what the great Dr. Foster just told us. 1965. A few years later, bang! Hey, look at us, guys. Flag on the moon. We beat Russia. What were they really doing during that time? This is after the discoveries of Admiral Byrd, that there's more worlds beyond the pole. They love to beyond Antarctic. He said, what would happen to real estate prices if it were revealed to the world ball that there's more habitable land? What would happen to real estate prices? Wouldn't it get suddenly, pretty much cheaper because everybody will be scattering to get to these other land? The real estate market will drop unless they could somehow control these other, do a monopoly on these other lands. But just like, it'll be like a land grab, like everyone trying to get to all these other lands, right? But until they realize that these people have been tricking us the whole time, that they've been doing that. Somebody put, one of those, other illustrations that we show, the one that got the Thoth moving island on it. They put that on top of this map here of, let's see, is it this one? Yeah, this old map. It said 1,000 years old, found. It's a Japanese map found in this, temple or some type of mountain or something like that. But it shows, the same thing, man. This is what you know. You would call this your ball. Now, on this ball, where's the Van Allen belt? Would it not just pretty much be the Antarctic ice wall they trying to get through? If you look at it, from that depiction, or you can look at it like, it's one of these barriers above, straight up, what I'm saying, to where they can't get past that mesosphere. We talked about the mesosphere, one of the highest ethers we talking about, what I'm saying, where they're seeing sprites and these shining, flashing, lights, pretty much dragons popping off, what I'm saying, way up near the firmament, right? But knowing that the firmament, is enclosing the sun and the moon are within the firmament, according to the script, HaWah placed the stars and all these luminaries within the firmament, not outside. So the moon is a lot closer. Clearly, it's within the firmament. The stars are a lot closer. They're within the firmament. And does the firmament cover this whole area, or just a particular area as a particular boundary or border? And does that firmament reach what we call Antarctica? Maybe they can't fly through it because they'll hit parts of this particular, so-called dome. But maybe if they can, navigate through the openings, then they can, navigate through the firmament. Maybe the only way to get out is for them to be on one of these boats and try to navigate through one of these cracks in the firmament, right? You see these little openings? Crack, crack, crack. Gateways. Yeah, man, we're talking gateways. Maybe that's why they can't fly too far. I don't know. Maybe they could fly far enough with their rockets to hit certain lands but can't hit the other lands. Or maybe they fly far enough to take a boat to another spot. I mean, all these seem interesting, but this picture right here is starting to look like a bunch of toilet paper. And that's if the moon is a plasma. Now, Admiral BYRD done talked about finding more land. Now let's, connect this moon, because again, if the moon's a plasma, all the gravitational stuff gotta go. All this gravitational tides and all this stuff like that. Gotta go. Gotta go. Then you're looking at the flat plane, right? Now you're looking at an infinite plane of existence, to where there's more to explore than even your outer space theory. Because now you got infinite waters, infinite lands. You got to explore the earth before you even talk about something else. But the earth is not some small little ball. It's a plane of existence. And even Admiral BYRD found some more land in the plane of existence. Let's go. This is the LONGINES CHRONOSCOPE with Richard BYRD.
It's time for the LONGINES CHRONOSCOPE.
And we're going to belly flop because I want to hear him talk about more land. Let's go.
That will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral BYRD.
And upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that they will...
These are explorations, people. He's not an astronaut. Now they've turned him into Buzz Aldrin. Now, damn, they kind of look alike too. Now, he will be Buzz Aldrin exploring outer space. Back then, he's an explorer, working with the Navy, finding more worlds beyond the pole. He's going straight, not up. To get out, you really got to go straight.
There will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral BYRD, I can understand, I think everybody can, the interest in the North Pole, because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia. But why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is there?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident, that's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested. It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world for science. That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. And, as the world shrinks with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places once useless, like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have military importance?
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future, I can see a time when it will be very, very...
Now, he keeps saying the world is shrinking and bringing these places closer. And we keep hearing about these theories, when we talk about the infinite plane, that these worlds were once closer and they got sort of pushed out through time or cataclysm or anything like that. So, will that situation be reversed? Will those that are far away be coming in a lot closer? Kind of like the script says, all the stars will fall from heaven, you know what I mean? And, come for another big powwow, you know what I mean? A lot of these stars are just more worlds beyond the poles, more isolated, or not even isolated, more continuous. But, these are, how does Giannini say, luminous, or just these areas of luminosity, these luminous, man, is a word that he said with it. But, these are like luminous areas, basically, you know what I'm saying? Luminous sky areas, something like that, to where, yeah, it looks like a star from your telescope, but it's really, the luminous, atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? Different, energy particles, pretty much the waves that are coming from these particular areas that we're perceiving as stars. Some say stars are just, crystallized water patterns and different things like that, or we're just seeing that light reflected like a water pattern. I mean, what's so interesting in the bottom of the so-called Earth? Is that really the bottom, or are we talking about the top? Since they flipped the map, when they talk about Australia and they're talking about the bottom of the Earth, we know they're talking about the top. So, I'm just saying, these things are all shrinking, he says, you know what I'm saying? Are they in reference to the stars falling to Earth, will it become more important? Why?
Very important strategically.
Well, has the development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the
very much
Palma Peninsula, we'll say?
Very much so. Even now, if anything happened and we lost the Panama Canal, we would have to control the islands just north of Antarctica, which are part of Antarctica. Then between there and Cape Horn.
I've heard it said that there are 7 continents in the world, and one of them has never been seen by a woman, and that's Antarctica. Is that actually true?
Well, if the Palma Peninsula is an island, as far as I know, that's true. No woman's ever stepped foot upon the Antarctic continent, and it's the most peaceful place in the world.
Well, I'm sure that won't last very long. I understand that now that you're working with the Arnold Bread Company in charge of frozen foods. Now, is there any future for frozen food?
Let's go back here a little bit. Let's see what he says about finding another world the size of America.
Is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they are safer, and they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral Byrd,
the government has really become interested. Let's get this piece.
But he's been an inspiration to countless Americans.
It's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because
inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Bang. So when we talk worlds beyond the pole, my naga, we ain't just pulling this, out of hat. You know what I'm saying? We're combining the recon of, right from their mouth, Admiral Byrd, Dr. Foster talking about the plasma moon, the other scientists, telling you, about this Van Allen belt that we about to get to. The other one saying that they destroyed the technology to get back to the moon. No one's ever put all these scientists in one video just to make a simple point, to make what they're making complex very simple. There's more worlds beyond the poles. They're not landing on no moons. They're putting the money somewhere else. Where are they putting the money to? Money's going missing. Y'all remember all that drop about the trillions of dollars that are just going missing in the government, black ops, no one's claiming, no one's claiming responsibility. They're just going missing. No one's looking for it. All that's happening. Why? We're just here to ask the right question. Admiral Byrd just admitted to your face, Bo, on live national television that he found another world beyond the pole, an area as big as America. He's talking about North America, South America, both. Either one, it's another continent beyond the South Pole. Not Antarctica, another world as big as America that has what? All the resources. So when you look at these maps showing you more worlds, don't say, oh, that's just some comical, fantasy thing. These are, researchers that are putting the information out however they can to give you a visualization, because no one can give you any accurate map about what's really popping, but perhaps these that we're digging on are the most accurate map, even if they, so-called, look like more, animated situations or whatever. You know what's animated? That ball earth you spinning on. I challenge you to find a picture of the earth that don't look like a painting, CGI, or straight up animation. So yeah, our maps sometimes look like animation or, some type of artistic depictions. What do you think this globe you're on? What kind of pictures that you pulling up don't look like animations and CGI? What pictures are you pulling up that don't look like artistic depictions? So get all these barriers and these blocks out your head, bum, and listen clearly when they're telling you something to your face, bum, that they would not tell you today, and you know it in 2021.
And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored
on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is.
Might appeal to adventurous young Americans means that we have explorers that want to be adventurous and search these new areas out. Now you would call these people astronauts. You would have to go get your doctor, PhD, do all kind of training in water pools because they're just talking water. Space is water. So you ain't just landing on no moon when you're in water. Nah, you don't land on the Mars in water. You just go straight into another Earth pod. And it's the damn exact same atmosphere everywhere you go because it's just the Earth plane. It doesn't switch atmospheres on you. It's the same Earth. It's just these barriers, right? And why do the barriers exist? Why did HaWah put these barriers up, and why did they put further barriers after they finally discovered HaWah's barriers, right? They broke the partition to find us in a brand new world. Now they're finding newer worlds. They call this the new world. They found Nagas over here. What do you think they found over there? More Nagas? What if they found more Nagas? What if over there it's like the 60s? What if over there it's like the 1800s when they're just slaughtering Indians, right? Slaughtering Tecumseh. What if they're slaughtering another Tecumseh in another world right now? How can we help those Nagas? How can any Nagas help us? This is just like Black Panther, man. They're hiding out with all the technology while we being, you know what I'm saying, completely mutilated. And you got one Naga trying to share the technology with others, but he gets killed, right? Black Panther. This cat just told you there's more worlds beyond the pole. There's a whole area the size of America that got all the drop.
And not up around the North Pole because it's getting crowded up there now because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in.
So who's using that area up there or down there?
But militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
Gravitational theories are out. You're not on the spinning ball. They're finding more worlds beyond the poles. More, what happens to real estate prices? I love to be on Antarctica. Yeah. When you find out there's more land, then you don't have such a demand for a small little area anymore, right? There's more competition. There's more places to go. You think this is bullshit? 1,000-year-old map in Japan, huh? Oh, this is just an artist depiction overlaid on the 1,000-year-old map found in Japan. Worlds beyond the pole. Plasma moon, all gravitational theories are out. You're not on a spinning ball, you're on an infinite plane. And they can't show you all the land on anything. You know what I'm saying? No one can show you all the land. HaWah is the creator. The creator keeps creating. The creator keeps creating. Beyond the ice wall, man. So you got all this drop on your ether, man. The world. Yeah, man. Now you're talking about the world beyond the eye, beyond the pole. Oh, let me get that back. Yeah. Beyond the walls. I'm way out right now. I'm near the walls of Asgard, which reminds me of something. Now, this is one of those, you know what I'm saying, wheels or, celestial wheels type of thing, but they've been putting it in our face that there's all these other worlds. And you hear about Elysium when you read about, you know what I'm saying, especially all like the Roman flow. They always talk Elysium, Arcadia, Akron. Some of these start to kind of pop out. You got Hades, all these areas, Limbo. And then you got Asgard or Isgard, right? As another world beyond the pole. You could look at this like a so-called AE projection, flat Earth situation. You know what I mean? You got the material plane, right? That's what we know. And this would be our ball, ethereal plane, elemental chaos. You can compare that to the Van Allen belt, or maybe to, some type of Antarctic flow. You got these openings, right? These gateways. And then, just reminded me of this Asgard here, or Isgard. Change the A to a Y, or just invert the A and the Y. All right, you got the guard, right? The Isgard. Okay. So when we see stuff like this, shadow fell, all right. Earth, fire, air, water, the elements, which are what? The dragon. They call chaos because they don't understand it. Oh, it's just these gas combustion of gas. They don't understand it. All right. Upper planes, positive plane, outer planes. What's up with the outer planes, man? What's up with this Asgard? Isgard. This would be considered an outer plane over here. Okay. Oh, okay. We're just talking Odin. Huh? That's over here. What's over here? New Bavaria, Valkyrie. So we got some of this on our Terra Sancta drop. I told you I would be back in it, but I just had to, connect us with the code even deeper. Talk about, what I'm saying, just what we need as a foundation, man, before we get too excited about the worlds beyond the pole. We kind of started, our journey way back in the day, way before we was on YouTube, and even before we started our radio, situation. We was talking about the flat plane. Love to the melanated true earth plane on Facebook. Myself and my bro Silas Nehemiah. What it do? We started that group that grew and grew and grew. Check out the melanated true earth plane. And yeah, we've been talking. So, this is one of our strong points. We just, still got to make sure we do it, what I'm saying, with the right perspective, with the code at heart. So we had to get KTC, make sure everyone saw clearly before we start taking these turns again, because it ain't no point in discovering all this and connecting all this if you ain't got KTC, if you ain't got Hosea 3 flowing. You got your Preston flow. You excited about the investigation. All right, now you're ready for the orientation. We hear a lot about Lemuria, right? Did the real Lemuria just get pushed out, or did it get sank? Some say it sank underneath the water. Either way, we don't see it, so it could be under the water. It could be way out here, pushed out beyond the ice wall. And is there an abyssal ocean? An ocean beyond the ocean? I mean, HaWah did separate the waters from the water. Formosa Ultima. Okay. The telekinesia. You got telekinesis. I got telekinesis. Look at all these islands, man. Look at all these islands. Look at those little specks. Right? Those little specks would be like Haiti, you know what I'm saying? Cuba. Look how many Cubas there are, man. So these rich folk, they make these deals and they get little places. And these are their heavens. And the so-called devil says, hey, man, you want to come to heaven? And they got these little islands for them, right? And they can take their, trips and pass. They can go to Antarctica like King Kong, get to whatever vortex, whatever technologies to get to their little islands. So whatever bullshit's happening way over in the middle of things, right? Way over here, that the area I mean, maybe they got a vortex in Greenland, right? Maybe they got vortexes all throughout Mount Shasta, California, that whole flow. Vortexes, all throughout South America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it has to connect to these gateways. Now, this gateway, remember, it means to monitor. So this is like the monitoring island. Because we looked up this name, SLEDOV. 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 AT. Translation. Okay. So they got it in check, right? What does it say? Monitor, follow, watch, observe, follow up, keep track of, tracking, in pursuit of, be on to, shadow. Didn't we just get about that shadow world situation? I can't make this stuff up, my nugget. So when we see that ThaWaDa in check, they're just talking about monitoring, observing you, tracking you, and shadowing you. Shadow. Okay. Wow. We're just talking about shadow. So are they monitoring us, observing us? Are they shadowing us from this area right outside of South America through the Antarctic ice wall? When they say the president went to Antarctica, or whoever went to Antarctica, did they just go here? Which Taurus Sancta did they connect to? Did they go through the ice and just hit this place that's right outside? As soon as they pass through the gate, they can run right into the monitoring island, which connects you to what? Man, I can't make this up. No cap on my number 2 pencil. No cap on Antarctica's chest bone. Thoth is monitoring, observing. Remember the Thothamon spell barrier right outside of South America. What do they connect with when they go on their, retreats, right? Hey, man, we're just a bunch of goombas trying to put an investigation together. Don't mind us. Sladava, right? Okay. And I think we put this Ostrovo in before. It got like islands or something like that, or lands. So it's like the monitoring lands, monitoring islands, the monitoring islands of Thoth. And that's before you get to other places, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Mountain Ring, Lord of the Rings. You got the Magellan Islands, my naga. So, look, this is what Thoth do, right? Thoth runs the music business, runs entertainment, runs all this, right? He promises these celebrities and these important, exclusive people, right? And these exclusive get along, go along gangs that Kwame telling us about. And hey, man, you want to reach your destinia, your destination, your saga Jawia? Ain't that who's giving up all the drop on the indigenous Nagas? The new Appalachia, Prester John of Appalachia, come to baptize you and me. So you got a whole new Appalachia. Look how massive this Appalachia is, right? So this is like a whole nother barrier, Managa, right? That's a whole nother barrier. Once you get through one barrier, you have more barriers. Okay. So this is what Thoth do. He says, hey man, you wanna make a deal? I'll get you an island of your own. You have your own island, you have your family to it. I'll monitor it, make sure ain't nobody coming through here. And then I'll give you one of these joints, man. Thoth says, man, I'm gonna give you one of these Magellans, man. I'm gonna give you one of these Magellans. I got a Magellan for everybody. And love to the family that sent us this Magellan drop connected to this, like, what was it, like a Magellan cluster of stars? Like, it's some type of Magellan star situation. And we keep saying, are these the actual stars? Are these the planets and the stars, man? You know what I'm saying? These planets and lands beyond the pole, are we seeing, the lights from them, you know what I'm saying, reflected off the dome of the firmament, cycling around us because they're all fixed, right? They're all in a certain circuit at least. You got your wandering stars, which are the planets, so-called, or the planes, but they're still in their own orbit or circuit. And there's a whole like Magellan, you know what I'm saying, situation with astronomy. Like a whole, what they call it, a cluster. Magellan. Let's go. Magellan stars. What they would call that? Space. I don't know. Magellan spacecraft. Okay. Here we go. Hey, love to you, family. Sorry I don't got your name on my headbone, but you dropped this. You said there's a large Magellanic cloud. See, man, we surfing the wave. What y'all thought drop was? Come on, man. We just getting started. We just putting it together, man. And our investigation will continue at 432thedrop.com, no matter what, YouTube, IG, any of these other platforms talking about. We don't just exist through YouTube or IG. We use them to bring your attention to the drop right here at 432thedrop.com. We're getting our app tighter. We're getting things going, so that you can come into our app, sign into our app, have a special flow directly within the flow of the app. Like, we're doing things, man. So look out for us. There's a large Magellanic cloud. This is supposed to be a picture. Y'all believe this? Y'all think this is a real picture? Or is it just like the NASA picture of the moon, right? They don't know. They're just putting a picture in front of your face. You're supposed to believe this is a real picture, right? But they can't turn around with the same high-powered telescope and take a real picture from a satellite of the Earth as a ball spinning around. You say, oh, it's just so big. But they can go way out here. They can go take them satellite pictures. They can't turn one of them satellites around and take a snapshot of any part of the Earth as a real picture. Nothing they give us is real, right? So here's the large Magellanic clouds. Oh my goodness. Based on readily visible stars and a mass of approximately 10 billion solar masses. All you need to know is that they're calling the same thing after what you already see right in your Facebook. If there's a large Magellan cloud full of stars, billions of, all this stuff, what's the difference between these islands? Wouldn't this still be a large Magellanic cloud, my noggin, full of stars, depending on how you see them through your telescope or the lies that they're telling us of what actually is out there and what's being reflected off the firmament, off the dome? Who? I mean, look, if they're promising islands to everybody, what if all these islands are inhabited? What if all of them are inhabited? They got atmospheres, they're popping off, they got things happening, they got lights. The same thing as New Mexico. You'll think New Mexico is a cluster of stars if you saw it from a distance. You think California, New York City was a star or a cluster of stars if you saw it from a distance as the lights are twinkling on your ass from hundreds of miles up, even 50 miles up, would start looking like some type of other universe to you. Look at this, man. They got Nemo. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that this whole Magellan situation is this whole, look at this. Like they just clustered it in. They just said, here's a cluster. Here is the Magellan Isles, right? Filled with numerous, y'all think this is play? Filled with innumerable land. We talking land beyond the pole. I'm not even reading Worlds Beyond the Poles right now. I'm just kind of showing you receipts. So by the time we get back to Worlds Beyond the Pole, you already got the receipts, my nigga. You got your ether packs. You got all this stuff on it. Because they got the Magellan Clouds. Got you. Okay. Worlds Beyond the Pole. So, with this perspective we got, that's what we call that dragonfly. Thoth is going to make a deal with these rappers, with these entertainers, with these media personalities, with these illuminated ones. He's going to give them their own world. Do all this while you in chaos, talking about civil rights, police brutality, this land is my land, that land is your land. They're beyond the ice wall. They're in solitary, man. They pass the solitary ocean on your ass, man. They get to more worlds, way past the. They get to Osiris. They way past this. You got to pass to get to Osiris. Oh wow! Look at little Napoleon, little guy, but it's probably still a big ass island. What has this got to do with Napoleon and Napoleon's family? Where are they now? You got to pass through the solitary. First, you got to get through the ice wall. All right. So you go over there, past Africa, through the ice wall, and notice there ain't no way through right here. So how you gonna get through to the solitary? Oh, that's why it's solitary. That's why Napoleon's over here chilling, cause how you even gonna get through? You gonna fly over with your helicopter? Maybe. Find some more Tierra de Pluma and more land, right? Yeah, look at all this land, man. Past Madagascar. So whenever you get past the ice wall, you get to the solitary ocean, then you can find little ass Napoleon. You know what I'm saying? That's past the Magellans, or that's before the barrier to the Magellan cluster, right? The Magellan, cluster of stars, right? You see little Napoleon, you're on your way to get to big old Osiris. This is why they lied, and this is why this scientist is telling us, hey, they ain't landing on no moon. The moon is a plasma. Because he doesn't see them building this fake space program. NASA, SpaceX, all this telling us that they're going to Mars when really they're going to more worlds. Hey, look at ISIS over here. Oh, yeah. They venerate ISIS like a motherfucker, right? And ISIS got all her islands. She got lands unnamed before you get to the islands of Anubis. Oh, Anubis, dog-headed, right? Doghead can make you promises. Anubis got his own heaven. So you gotta be careful worshiping their gods, because their gods can promise you heaven on earth. but this is a part of Earth. They try to tell you this is a whole nother heaven in some other realm of existence, and I guess they're right. This would be another realm, but it's still on the same Earth plane as Asia and America, North America, South America, Europe. You just gotta go straight to get to the celestial, straight to get to the Isles of Anubis, to get to Isis. Yeah, to get to Osiris. The go along, get along gang. Hey, beyond the barrier, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You wanna find Nemo? They had a whole cartoon about finding Nemo just to mock your ass. Cause you can't find Nemo unless you get past the mountain ring that's past the ice wall. Oh, but you over here chilling, right? You from Africa, you from America. You from Africa, you from America. You from Africa, you from America. I don't have a problem with Africa, Europe, Asia. All this is mama. All this is mama. And you know what else? Beyond the wall, mama got a lot. And when the Most High say, hey, look, man, you rich, I'm going to remind you. I'm going to bring you to your own land. Because if Atlantis can hijack America way over there, that means they also hijacked this. None of this is theirs. This ain't Isis's land, Anubis's land, or Osiris's land. They can't have this shit no more. They're going to have to come up off this, old Thothy boy. Or you going to monitor us? Thoth? You going to monitor the Nagas? Hey, let's go straight up, though. What if we went straight up, right? North. Then you can get out of the gate and run right into Aten. Yeah, now you got New Lanka, New Punjab. They're renaming shit way up here. What if you keep going up? Oh, there we go. Horus. Don't this look like a seeing eye, like an all-seeing eye? He is completely enclosed, this place. What does it take to get here? All the way to the top, right? All this land, just because they don't have it mapped out on you as, they still did something to let you know that these are just more worlds beyond a pole. So you got Horus way up here, Lemuria, Atlantis way over there to the right. So did Atlantis get shifted past the ice wall? That's another theory. Oh, my naga, we just surfing the way. Will it come back like he said? The earth is shrinking. The earth is shrinking. What did he say, man? What did you say? The earth continues to shrink with an ever, consistent shrinkage, man. Wait, first you found more land beyond the pole. Let's hear that one more time.
This earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral,
Yeah.
would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they are safer, and they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
This is interesting because when he says beyond South America, you run right into Thoughty Boy, right? You run right into the monitoring islands, right? So, when did they become the monitoring islands? Admiral Byrd, he had to get through the ice wall. He said the bottom of the earth or the bottom of the world, right? So that would be South America. The reason why that's so important down here is because there's a way out. And you run right into the monitoring island of thought. And then you run right into some more land. New Appalachia. You keep going, man, more land. This, what's all this? Odin's land? Odin got all this. Odin got his damn near a whole entire barrier to himself, right? The scorched waste. What's this, my noggin? What's the scorched waste, man? Wow. I'm way out there now, man. I'm way out there. I'm just seeing how far we can go. The frozen waste. Halal HaWah sure did put a lot of barriers up. Sure didn't know that they was going to try to hijack. Oh, thought in there. The go along, get along. I can't make this shit up, man. It is truly a go along, get along game. And I think, and again, love to Kwame Brown, man, because he's really opening up a whole can of whoop ass, man, on the media and all that stuff. But all the media folk are connected to these other powers. And this is why they feel like they are strong. This is where they're getting their strength from. And this is where they're going. This is what's connected. So when I say go along, get along, gang, it's the same go along, get along, gang. It's the same powers that know, what I'm saying, that the moon is a plasma, that know that they found more world beyond the pole. They know they found a whole entire area for them to go kick it at.
But he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
So this area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. What is happening now? If that interview's in the 20s, 30s, my naga, we're in 2020s now. That's 100 years. God damn. We're talking about a researcher, or this particular one right here, this Long John's Chronic. Let's see where they put this. Archives. They're not going to give us a date on this one here, but yeah, it had to be around that same, early Navy, 30s, 40s, couldn't be much later than that. It's still in black and white. So it's damn near been 100 years. And we don't hear about this land the size of America, right? And he says it so swiftly as if it ain't no big deal. But now they'll tell you that you crazy because that land he's talking about can't fit on your ball without making the ball bigger. They said here's the land masses, here's the continents, here's the ball. What about the Van Allen belt? What about the Antarctic ice wall?
Unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. and not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America.
As big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. Notice we're talking about positive plane, astral plane, upper plane, plane, inner plane, plane. What happens when they put a T at the end of plane? HaWah! Oh yeah, we're talking dragons in the mesosphere. When you put a T and you get planet, they're still going to tell you that it's from the pi root, which means flat, spread, or spread out, man. The etymology of a planet, even with the T, and you thought it was a spinning ball, still goes back to flat. How can you have a flat planet? Or we're talking about plane. They just put the T at the end and throw you the fuck off, so you think you're spinning on a ball. So you stop exploring. Because back then, they knew there was more land beyond the pole. Now you stop looking for it. Manage? So this is South America. He said right past it is another land the size of America. I can't make this shit up. You see another land underneath America here. Admiral Byrd straight up told you that they found more land beyond the pole, as big as America, beyond South America. You see it in the 1,000-year-old Japanese map. You see it in this depiction right here from this artist beyond the ice wall. You know what I'm saying? Or deviantart.com. Who's getting it from? What? More sources, my noggin. More substantiating recon. So beyond South America is what? The only one watching you, man. The only one watching you, Thoughty boy, right? So beyond South America, you run right into the monitoring islands of Thought. Got it. Beyond South America in this 1,000-year-old Japanese map, same exact location. So they chose this island to monitor this particular gateway. This gateway here now is getting monitored. It's the same land that Admiral Byrd seems to have found. It's the same land that they're showing you on the 1,000-year-old Japanese map. So you got Admiral Byrd telling you about this land beyond the pole, right? This is the greatest explorer of all time. The greatest Navy explorer of all time just told you that there's another land beyond South America the size of America. Got it. Admiral Byrd just gave you the drop here. Foster just gave you the drop here. Dr. Foster in 1965 said the moon is a plasma. You never land on it.
And that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less, than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new
No more gravitational theories, no more gravity, no more earth ball model, because you can't have a spinning ball with water being crushed on it by gravity because you're in a vacuum of space somehow, right? The water's not flying off into the vacuum because of gravity. You're stuck to the ball because of gravity, but there's no more gravity when you prove that the moon is a plasma. So what's making the tides? Are we talking about magnetism, electromagnetism? Love to my bro Natural by Law. Go make sure you support naturalbylaw.net to get the crystal flow, crystal water flow, and just, all the assortments of just tuning up, frequencying up. Natural just dropped some new drop on his page, man, on YouTube, on the channel, my noggin. So hit up Natural by Law, hit up the channel and get that drop. We back talking about them dog-faced, dog-headed. We talking Anubis, right? Yeah, it's all connected. So Admiral Byrd just told us they found more land beyond the pole. Dr. Foster told us around the same time, 50s, 60s, that's all happened around the same time. The moon is a plasma. They'll never land on it. No one can ever land on it. So we know that NASA's full of shit. Because he's saying, yeah, they're going to try to land some people here. He's like, nope, that's not even conceptually anywhere near possible. Got it. This scientist here told us that they destroyed the technology to go back to the moon.
Don Pettit says that we don't currently have the technology to go to the moon.
So we got a scientist, a NASA explorer, right? Not astronaut, right? So now you went from this, man, Admiral Byrd would be an astronaut now because he's exploring more worlds, boldly going nowhere or somewhere no one's ever gone before. That's Star Trek, right? Exploring new worlds, but they're really on a boat, right? They're really on a boat like Admiral Byrd, looking for more new worlds because they found you, my Naga, in a new world. Now they're looking for other Nagas and other resources in other worlds beyond the pole. Admiral Byrd gave you the drop. This doctor gave you the drop. This scientist gave you the drop. This astronaut is giving you the drop that they destroyed the technology to even go back to the moon. Come on, man.
Moon anymore, let alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to. Place high orbit in Venus atmosphere. Humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons, and
should be going back as if they ever went, if it wasn't a plasma and if this is not a staged Stanley Kubrick sideshow. Is it to get more money, more resources? I mean, that's what SpaceX is doing. That's what they're all doing, right? Using the tax dollars, using everyone's monies, private monies, whatever monies, to do what? What's happening to all the money that's missing, and where is it going? They destroyed their own technology. Do you believe it? Do you believe it?
In a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
We used to.
But we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. It's a painful process to build it back again.
A painful process to build that back again, but we can go to Mars. But maybe we should make some steps to going back to the moon. Man, this is 50, 60 years later, man. What do you mean our next couple steps should be trying to... You destroyed the technology, you just said. It's a painful process to put it back together in 2021, but we got all this supersonic stuff popping off, all this super technologies, all this God particle shit popping, but we can't put the same technology together. Why? The same technology that we had in the 70s, right? And 10 years earlier than that, this scientist says you'll never be able to do this. You'll never be able to land on the moon, man.
There is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its theories, the result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Soft landing attempts will all fail.
No man will ever land on this plasma moon, but you're trying to make an excuse for that fact by saying that we destroyed the technology. Come on, man. So now you got to admit that 2021, we are technologically deficient from 50 years earlier. That shit don't make no sense. That's some Atlantis double forked serpent talk. But we are talking a NASA astronaut. So we got a NASA astronaut here telling us they destroyed the technology. We got the most famous explorer through the Navy, Admiral Byrd, telling us there's more land the size of America beyond the pole. Then you got a scientist, a renowned scientist, Dr. Foster, in 1965, telling you that they'll never land on the moon. All soft landing attempts will fail. Or did he say self-landing attempts? You can't land on no plasma. You're going to take the word from the media in 2021 that can't even explain why there's no technology left to do what they did 50 years earlier? Or you're going to listen to a scientist, an astronaut, and a renowned Navy explorer? How about I raise you one more astronaut? Because when we talk about a barrier like the ice wall, let's also factor in this Van Allen belt. And this NASA scientist or engineer, as he's talking about this Orion mission, is talking about the complexities of the Orion mission and what are the barriers that we need to overcome.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the...
You know you fucked up now, right now. You know you fucked up right now. Don't you, boy? Hey, boy, you work for NASA. You know you fucked up, right? Did you just say your shielding will now just be getting put to the test? Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I thought, with a dragonfly perspective, that this piece of shit scrap metal you have in this picture with this waving flag in outer space because you landed on a damn plasma moon, I thought this was test enough. You got a person there. We about to get the dismount with Elon Musk. Love to my brother Clay, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Elon's talking about putting manned people on these aircrafts, man. And, you know, the challenge of it when we supposedly have been doing it for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. Decades, man. Now, how did they pass through the Van Allen belt if they're just now putting their super science shields to the test? How the fuck did they pass through it back in 1970 such and such? How did this little scrap metal shit pass through it if they're just now putting their 50-year-old later super technology that they're spending trillions of dollars on, right, to get here and do this? Or are they spending trillions of dollars going other places? Worlds beyond the poles. And like, what are they spending all the money on? Where's the money going? And it's so fucked up because when people are asking them where the money's at, they acting like they don't know. They have no clue. Where's all these trillions of taxpayer monies, they say, right? Billions and trillions. That's 1,000 billion, not 100 billion. 999 billion plus a billion is a trillion. So let's put it like this. $999 billion are missing. Times, I don't know, times 8. Let's call it 10 by now. 10 times 999 billion is how much money they're putting into finding and, civilizing these other races and people and places and all this stuff they're finding past the monitoring islands of thought, right? Once they get out these gateways and they are, civilizing, right? They're conquering, they're funding more war. You think they're just getting these lands with ease? You think it don't take a little effort to solidify these places? How much printed out money do you think they're spending on land beyond the pole? Putting their names all over this place don't mean that Hawaii has given them these places by lot, by birthright, by inheritance. Are these their places? I don't give them nothing, man. I don't give them no land beyond the poles. I definitely ain't gonna give them Formosa Ultima, man. They don't get this stuff. They don't get telekinesis. They don't get these stars, man. Anubis, nah, you can't have all that. That's bigger than all the earth we know. Come on, Anub. Come on, Osiris. You can't have, come on, Odin. Osiris and them, you can't have all this. And then you just gonna stick us over here, huh? You gonna make us go crazy. Oh, you want Patalia? You gotta get through the Indian Ocean. Look at this little slithery gateway. You can get right out. You can slide right out to get to Patalia. Everybody got a piece of the ice wall. When you recon the Antarctic Treaty, they all since the 60s, since the same damn time, we're talking about this plasma moon. At the same damn time, they're making treaties, right? At the same time, they're putting the T on planet, even though it's still talking about the Pele, the flat, the spread out. We're still talking fixed stars, but now we're talking devious, repelling and dissuading from the right path. That's a planet with a T, but that's not a plane. Once you put that T on it, you start to make a devious, repelling, dissuading from the right, from righteousness, man. You're now in the bewildering 440 connection. We're talking about the cosmos now, huh? Nah, we just talking about the planes, man. But they want to call it planet. Man. Antarctic Treaty. 1961. We just got the plasma moon scientists talking about 1965. They ain't never going to be able to land on this stuff. But they were already playing chess, not checkers, in 1961. Signed in 1959. The Antarctic Treaty is the earliest of the post-World War II. Yeah, because the wars are all about resources, right? Has significance both in itself and as a precedent. It demilitarizes the Antarctic continent and provides for its cooperation, exploration, and future use. Okay, for future use. So all these major places by the 1950s, it's kind of like them saying no space war. In war, in space, we're not going to go to war, right? This is a treaty that we're not going to do space war. It's a treaty that we're going to have non-armament treaties. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to fight beyond the ice wall. We're going to work together beyond the wall. And Argentina, Australia, Chile, UK, everybody's in on it. Everybody's in on it. Soviet Union, the United States, everybody's in on it. The United States did not recognize the claims of other governments and reserve the rights to assert claims. They're putting claims out. Why? So this treaty's never been broken. Recon Moore, Managa, this treaty's never been broken. This is happening after Admiral Byrd is saying they found more land beyond the pole. Then they come with the treaty and said, we'll work together. We'll all work together. All the governments, we can work together. Did Admiral Byrd say that there's going to be some competition? Let's, listen closely.
And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
job.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral,
Yeah.
would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they are safer, and they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral Byrd, I can understand, I think everybody can, the interest in the North Pole because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia. But why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is there?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident, that's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested. It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world for science. That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. And, as the world shrinks with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places once useless, like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have military importance?
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future, I can see a time when it will be very, very important strategically.
Well, has the development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the
very much
Palma Peninsula, we'll say?
Very much so. Even now, if anything happened and we lost the Panama Canal, we would have to control the islands just north of Antarctica, which are part of Antarctica, and between there and Cape Horn.
I've heard it said that there are 7 continents in the world, and one of them has never been seen by a woman, and that's Antarctica. Is that actually true?
Well, if the Palma Peninsula is an island, as far as I know, that's true. No woman's ever stepped foot upon the Antarctic continent, and it's the most peaceful place in the world.
Well, I'm sure that won't last very long. I understand that now that you're working with the Arnold Bread Company.
I'm sure that won't last for long, right? But what did they do? They made treaties.
So he got the idea of this frozen bread, and already he sent some to
Skip ahead.
the whole world for quite a while.
Well,
that's the coal. Now there's evidence of many other minerals.
Listen up.
Ridge of mountains. It's not covered with snow.
What are they? What are the natural resources there?
Well, we've found enough coal within 180 miles of the South Pole in a great ridge of mountains. It's not covered with snow, enough to supply the whole world for.
A great ridge of mountains that's not covered in snow past Antarctica? So if there's a great mountain range, then there's no cap on Antarctica's chest bone. And how much other areas are not covered in snow past the barrier?
Quite a while.
Well,
that's the coal. Now there's evidence of many other minerals. We're pretty sure there's oil. Now that coal shows the bottom of the world. Now by far the coldest spot in the world. Where that coal is gets 100 below zero in the winter.
Well,
it was once tropical. So we think there's oil there, and there's.
It was once tropical. Did he just give you the drop before Antarctica was frozen over after the Perry Reese map? Showing us that there's no cap on Antarctica's chest bone. We're talking a tropical Terra Santa.
Evidence. Probably uranium there.
Is it any secret? Is there uranium there? That would be the only thing that would be practical.
Uranium? That's all their weapon stuff. So why do you think they made a treaty, my nugget? This is before the treaty. The moon is a plasma. That's around about. That's happening at the same time. That's 1965, 1961. All this is happening in the same decade. Come on. We just exposing it with a dragonfly perspective.
Practical to actually go after, I suppose. Everything else would be economically unfeasible, wouldn't it?
Well, as we recklessly expend our resources, the time will come when we'll have to go after that stuff down there. Well, I avoided what you said about uranium. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to have the world fighting over the Antarctic.
Is there a
Oh, I don't want to have the world fighting over this. Well, they don't need to now, because by the 50s, they already said, nah, we're going to work together. We're going to be confederate. We're going to be confederate against Hawaii. I know you feel like this is, everyone is being affected, but you got to see the end game, man. You're talking Osiris, you're talking Thoth, you're talking all these worlds beyond the poles. You're going to have to see the end game. When you talk worlds beyond the poles, the so-called elites or the so-called whoever, they'll leave all their own people behind. They'll sacrifice their own people just to sacrifice the few. They'll leave you in the illusion, you know what I'm saying, and leave their own people in it too. As long as, you know what I'm saying, those that they really are focusing and targeting, which are the indigenous, which are the Ibaru, which are the children of HaWah, many tribes. Now, what were they guarding? What was these vortexes about in the Byzantine Empire and all the stuff with the Prester John and the Fountain of Youth and all these secrets? I mean, do you think Prester John had the drop on the waters? You think Prester John knew how to get through the gateways into these other lands beyond the pole, my night? I mean, we had a map that we showed where it actually had Prester John outside, right outside the ice wall. You know what I'm saying? So there's much evidence showing that, you know, you're talking about wisdom, right? So when you talk about Khalifa and the Amazons, the high Amazon queens, Antarctica, you know what I'm saying, all the drop, they're guarding vortexes, which are now being monitored by the hijack. It wasn't just these lands, it was what, you know, these lands were connected to. It was the secrets, right? And when you get out of these realms, as we've gotten, you know, from other reconners, you know, are you going back in different ages? You know, are you going to different golden ages, bronze ages, you know, as you keep going further and further out? You know, are they in a different, you know, just like we got time zones, you know, from New York to LA, you know, are they in a whole nother age, a whole nother time? When you talk time travel, I mean, how do these lands outside the barrier factor into time, right? I mean, this is happening in real time. And when they give you these type of cosmos, cycles, and all this, are these circles representing other worlds, new worlds, outside the wall, outside the plane, the positive plane? Let's go. All right. Okay. Was this map made 10 centuries ago? Was the question in 1907 in the Hawaiian Gazelle. What's beyond the barrier? What did Admiral Byrd find? So, you know, again, we got the most decorated Navy explorer in history. We got a renowned scientist, Dr. Foster, in 1965. We got NASA themselves saying that they destroyed the technology to get back to the moon.
Destroyed that technology. I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
We don't have the technology.
We don't have the technology to do that anymore.
We used to, but we destroyed that technology.
We destroyed the technology. Okay. Then we got another scientist, a NASA engineer that blatantly to your face tells you that they're just now working on something that they need to test to get past the Van Allen belt. You can't get to the moon without crossing this thing. So when they're giving us a picture like this, they couldn't get here without crossing the Van Allen belt. Is this what they took? Or that other thing? How did it work then? But suddenly now they need to test their technology to see if they can get through the barrier.
Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
Sensors aboard
Y'all hear that?
will record radiation levels for scientists to study.
I wonder why they just didn't use the same shielding protection that must have worked back in 1969, says Hallelujah Girls. HaWah, HaWah. Hallelujah is halal. HaWah, hallelujah. Halal HaWah. Halal HaWah. Hey, we're just getting back to the root. So in 1969, the shielding worked just fine, right? Suddenly, one more time, you need to test your shielding to see if it is even possible for this Orion mission.
Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
Right. Because they don't have the technology to go to the moon anymore.
A nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one. We destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars.
Going to Mars ain't no sweat, because we're just going to another world beyond the pole. But we destroyed that technology, and somehow we got through the Van Allen belt. But now we destroyed that technology to get through the Van Allen belt. So we must retest our shit in this newer mission of
Other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
What are the waves of radiation? You know, let's check out this NASA.gov, you know, this deadly Van Allen belt. Okay. 1958, Dr. James Van Allen discovered a collection of high-energy particle clouds. That kind of sounds like the Magellan cloud situation, right? Like them islands, right? Within 40,000 kilometers of Earth, okay? Arranged like two nesting donuts, the inner belt is mainly energetic protons, while the outer belt contains both protons and electrons. These belts have long been known as bad news for satellites and astronauts, with potentially deadly consequences if you spend too much time within them. The figure below, produced by scientists from NASA CHRONOSCOPE satellite, shows the radiation dosages at various locations within the belt. Now, what does it say over here, man? Let's get to it. Apollo astronauts and astronauts in the upcoming visit to the moon will have to go through some of these belt regions because the orbit of the moon lies along the fastest line of travel from Earth. So they have to go through the Van Allen belt. And we're hearing about these, you know, protons and these particles, you know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, just Think about the quantum physics double slit experiment, the power of observation, just like thought is doing, right? The monitoring island. The power of observing, changes this particle, changes, it collapses the wave pattern by observation. So these are a bunch of energetic protons now. How are they being observed is the question, because now they're saying that, oh, now the Van Allen belt and these particles are now all kind of, different, coming up in different patterns. There's a whole new ring now being observed. This is off space.com, and I'm just chatting. I'm just going off their recon. This magnetically trapped, high energetic, charged particles surrounding Earth, right? So Van Allen discovered these radiation belts in 1958, after the launch of Explorer 1, the first U.S. satellite. So the first satellite gets launched, they say, oh shit, this radiation is killing our technology. The radiation belts were eventually named after him. Okay. While observations have continued for decades, our knowledge of the belts became more enhanced with Van Allen's probes in 2012. They found the belts more complex than... So they've been going back and forth to the moon and doing all this stuff for all that time. But they can't go back because they're sort of double talking on this Van Allen situation. One scientist says now they got to test out their new shield technology. They found that the belts were more complex than previously imagined. What do you mean imagine? I thought you went through it already. We can't, put together the technology. It would be a painful process. I thought you went through it already. You ain't got to imagine it. Why are you testing out the shield now? You did it 50 years ago. It worked, right? All you got to do is, upgrade it. If anything, what do you mean you got to test it out? Didn't it work? Or did it become more complex to get through this barrier? The probe showed that the shapes of the belt depend on what particle is being studied. What? The shape of this particle electron belt depends on what particle is being observed. Studied. They also uncovered information, hinting there's less radiation than imagined in certain parts of the belt. Hinting, so they're spitballing way later that, oh, maybe we can get through certain part. Maybe certain parts have less radiation, which means that the spacecraft and humans would not need as much radiation protection if they are voyaging in that region, if they are, because we haven't done it right. 60th anniversary of Explorer 1, NASA said that studies of Van Allen belts are even more important today. Our current technology is even more susceptible to these accelerated particles. Our current technology is more susceptible? That seemed like we backwards, Pen. So the technology in the 70s or in 60s was less susceptible to radiation, to the accelerated particles, because even a single hit from a particle can upset our smaller instruments and electronics. So in 50, 60 years, you couldn't overcome a way to make your electronics less susceptible to all of this super duper radiation you're talking about. I mean, it's right in our face, bone, man. Part of the interest of Van Allen belts comes from where it is located. It is known that the belts can swell when the sun becomes more active. Before the probe launched, scientists thought the inner belt was really stable, but when it did expand, its influence extended over the orbit in the International Space Station and several satellites. The outer belt fluctuated more often. The ISS has been permanently inhabited since 2000, with typical astronauts staying there for 6 months at a time. In 2015 and 2016, NASA's astronaut Scott Kelly and Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kononenko remain there for almost a year. As astronauts stay in orbit for longer, their radiation exposure may also increase, leading to concerns about long-term habitation for astronauts in space. But we want to build a colony on the moon, they say. But they got all these ions and electrons to worry about, these accelerated particles to worry about, man. I mean, y'all tell me, is this a real picture? Or are they giving us some more computer graphics? Does this look like the Earth you live on? Or is this some utter bullshit? Is this a real satellite? Or is this another CGI bullshit? And why don't they give you one actual picture? They even have to tell you here that this is an artist's depiction of two Van Allen probes orbiting Earth. Why couldn't they just give us a real picture? A real picture? Why do they have to give us an artist's depiction, my nugget, of a space probe? This ain't a real print. This is an artist's depiction. But you don't question it. It's in the fine print. This is an artist giving us a fake Earth and a fake satellite, man. And now they're talking about a protective shield gathered by the probes also show that the radiation belt shields Earth from high energy particles. The barrier for the ultra-fast electrons is remarkable feature of the belts. We are able to study it for the first time because we never had such accurate measurements of these high energy electrons. So for the first time, NASA's able to study this stuff because their instruments can pick it up better. But somehow they got through it over and over and over again with that shitty ass technology back then. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I think NASA be lying. I think they be lying. Even to themselves, they be lying. Because when you come to these ions and electrons and protons, Managa, you are just talking about observation. Now you get into quantum world. And now you see why this stuff keeps changing based on observation. They went, oh, it looks like two donuts. Shut your ass up. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're looking at. What's this over here? Oh, yeah. I was just doing some independent recon on the Van Allen belt. And, you do the same thing. Apollo rockets through the Van Allen. Come on, man. Come on, man. They just told you what? They can't even put the technology back to even go back to the moon, which means they can't put no technology back to cross through this Van Allen belt, which brings you back to this picture you keep seeing. And you tell me real or fake. How did they get here? How did them astronauts not get radiation poisoning with that shitty ass equipment and shitty ass covering if they could make it through? How did they have no signs of radiation poisoning? Why haven't they been back? Why haven't we been back, right? We. Come on, man. It's clear to see that they're playing with our minds. You know when you're being played with. You know what I'm saying? We know when we're being played with. And where's the money going before they get to these other worlds beyond the poles? They have to pay for all this, right? They got to pay to set up shop in all these places. They made a treaty about it in the 50s and 60s, then started their whole ramp up of NASA and used the German scientists and World War IIs and all the Russian stuff just to do what? Create a fake narrative of some type of war to raise more money to go look for more land beyond the pole. And how did they fund this land, as we get our Elon Musk dismount? I'm going to do a couple quick, it's going to be like a quadruple dismount here. A couple quick clips, digging on this black budget. And if they're telling us that space is real, then we're thinking all this taxpayer money going to NASA, going to explore new worlds, right? But are they really just exploring worlds beyond the barrier? I mean, add it on up, my naga. Remember, the most decorated Navy explorer in the history of the Navy, in the history of the U.S. corporation, is Admiral Byrd. He went there. They tried to make him look like a lunatic, crazy, hollow earth Admiral Byrd diary. He's just a crazy man writing a crazy diary. Or did he see some stuff with those eyes? He's telling you there's another world beyond the pole, the size of America. Scientist Dr. Foster's telling you they'll never land on the moon. All attempts will fail because the moon is a plasma. NASA engineers telling you that they destroyed the technology to go back to the moon. NASA engineers telling you what? That they now have to test out their technology against the Van Allen belt. Again, they can't go back, right? Or they can't get through. They're just testing it out. What did they use to pay for all this exploration? They've been meeting about it. They've been talking about it. Tell me where this money's going, my naga.
Has secured a $630 billion budget for next year, even though it's failed to even account for the money it's received since 1996. A whopping $6.5 trillion of taxpayer cash have gone to defense programs, none of which has been audited. And this black budget has sparked concerns of political fraud, as Gaina Chichikan now reports.
The Pentagon is almost certainly the biggest source of waste in the U.S. government. A Reuters investigation says since 1996, the Pentagon has spent $8.5 trillion in taxpayer money that has never been accounted for. Nobody can say for sure how many billions of that amount.
Where is the money going to fund the expeditions, the colonization, the invasion of more Nagas or more land beyond the pole?
Were wasted on goods and services that were never delivered, on overpayments to contractors and many other things. What does Congress do about it? Nothing. And national security expert Steve Miles is here with me to help us crunch these numbers. $8.5 trillion unaccounted for.
It's a lot of money. This is the kind of thing that you would...
Oh, that's a lot of money. Shut your ass up, man. What you talking about, man? You just trying to make it seem like that's just a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. You can't call $8 trillion a lot of money. That is a massive amount. That is an extraordinarily massive amount of money. That's not a lot of money. That's a gigantic, ginormous amount of money. That's not a lot of money. That is an incomprehensible amount of loot. $999 billion times 8. $999 billion times 10. $999 billion times 20 by now.
I think would bring Capitol Hill to a screeching halt. There'd be hearings kind of almost daily. You'd have various committees looking into it. None of that. It just leads to massive waste, and there can be all
no one's talking about it.
sorts of fraud that you don't know about. Just one example, when the Inspector General looked at Iraq, which was, a lot of money, but in the grand scheme, just a portion of the money the U.S. spends. What they found was about $50 billion of the money the U.S. spent there was wasted. About $6 billion was completely lost. They had no idea where it went. It was completely unaccounted for. But put that in perspective.
That's just Iraq. That's $6 billion going missing in Iraq. They're using the wars to finance something else. If $6 billion goes missing, I spend $30 over my limit in my bank account, I get overdraft. I gotta pay that 30 back plus another $35 or whatever, right? Now that's 65, and if I don't pay it back, they close my account. They don't lose track of that $65. They don't even lose track of the $30, you know what I'm saying, that I spent that I didn't have, right? They're gonna tax me for that and the $35. Now you telling me they lost $6 billion in Iraq? Or did they fund something with that? Did they lose $8 trillion, or are they funding some type of exploration, invasion, colonization with that?
That's about this amount of money that other countries would spend on their defense in a year total. And that's just the loose pocket change that we lost in the counts.
One thing I found very interesting in this report is that the Pentagon apparently uses a standard operating procedure to enter false numbers, or so-called...
Ain't they going after niggas for this PPP loan fraud and this and different? Oh, man, you ain't using the money right. Ain't you still waiting on your stimulus checks and all this stuff? Oh, we got to organize her before you get your $10,000, $5,000. What do you mean? How can that shit exist? And you spending $8 trillion and that's going missing. But I got to wait for my $5,000, $10,000 stimmy check. You coming after us hard for all this other stuff. Oh, $1 worth something when we owe it, or you can put us in jail. But when you do it, it's just a lot of money.
Plugs to cover lost or missing information in their accounting in order to submit a balanced budget to the Treasury. So they can write in everything.
I mean, that's probably the most shocking part of this, is that they get to the end of the day and they say, oh, there's money missing. What do we do? Well, we'll just put a number in there that says it's there and we'll sort it out later. I mean, again, this is the type of operating practice that if you did it in your own business, if you tried to do it with your own taxes for the government, they'd haul you off to jail.
What contributed...
Fair use in your caboose bone. Where is the money going, man? And that's just since 1996, they said. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a couple more instances where they're asking. Even they are asking each other. Those in the know are having a conversation with those not in the know. Asking the same damn question. Where did the money
We
go?
do have a pending FOIA request that we submitted after doing an extensive analysis of the data quality on usaspending.gov, where we found over $1.3 trillion of missing or broken spending reporting from that website. We submitted a FOIA request to the Office of Management and Budget to see how each agency is tracking the spending of contracts and the data quality, and that's been more than 6 months that we've had that they've basically stonewalled and not gotten back to us, and it's still a standing FOIA request from us.
I could follow up real briefly. I'm out of time here. $1.3 trillion in missing spending that they have said that they would disclose, but they have not.
So the website usaspending.gov that is supposed to disclose grants and contracts information has fundamental problems with the data quality. We did an extensive analysis, which you can see on clearspending.org, this website we set up to share it. To follow up and apply that analysis to contract information, we submitted a FOIA request that we're still waiting for a response from.
FOIA request. They're looking for another $1 trillion, right?
Over $1.3 trillion of missing.
So first you hear about 8 trillion, 8.5 trillion, 1.3 trillion. Where is the missing dollars going, my noggin? Who got the loot? Dollars are missing. Dollars go missing during wars, federal stonewalling. What you know about stonewalling, man? Hey, I can't make this shit up. Even old Sanders had something to say.
We have spent a lot of time in Congress talking about the $700 billion TARP bailout, which I voted against as it happens. Not a whole lot has been talked about with regard to the $2.2 trillion that the Fed has lent out. Now, I find that absolutely extraordinary that I wrote you a letter and I said, hey, who'd you lend the money to? What were the terms of those loans? How can my constituents in Vermont get some of that money? Who makes the decisions? Do you guys sit around in a room? Do you make it? Are there conflicts of interest? So my question to you is, will you tell the American people to whom you lent $2.2 trillion of their dollars?
8.5 trillion plus 1.3 trillion plus 2.2 trillion. What you got? You got 1.3 plus 2.2, 1.5, 2.5 plus 8.5, $10 trillion, my naga. What did I just say before that? 999 billion times 10. At least. This is what's on the table. This is what's on the table that's gone missing. $10 trillion. For what? They don't know. Nobody knows. They're telling you, I don't know. I don't know.
Will you tell us who got that money and what the terms are of those agreements?
We explain each of our programs. In terms of the terms, we explain the terms exactly. We explain what the collateral requirements are. We explain what.
To whom did you explain that?
It's on our website.
Yeah. Okay.
So all that information is available in our commercial paper program.
And who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks. Any bank or.
He is He's a bullshit artist. This Bernanke. Pay attention to this mug. You're gonna see him in one more clip, man. He's a bunch of banks got it. Who got the trillions? A bunch of banks. Any type of accountability? Nope. What are they doing with it? Stuff that they said they're gonna do. Can you tell me which banks there were? Nope.
That has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Tell us who they are.
No, because the reason that's counterproductive and will destroy the.
Counterproductive to who? We want to know. That's productive to us if we are researching. It's counterproductive to those who don't want you to know about the worlds beyond the pole.
They are.
No, because the reason that is counterproductive and will destroy the value of the has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Tell us who they are.
No, because the reason that is counterproductive has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Tell us who they are.
No, because the reason that is counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to the.
Isn't that too bad?
Sorry.
In other words, isn't that too bad? They took the money, but they don't want to be public about the fact that they received it. We heard a whole lot about AIG. They're on the front pages.
These are very.
Now, I got banks and I have businesses in the state of Vermont who are in a lot of trouble. Not banks. Our banks, by the way, are doing pretty well. Now, how do these guys who are honest business people get it? Do you have to be a large, greedy, reckless financial institution to apply for these monies?
There is no subsidy. There is no capital involved. There is no gift involved. It is a collateralized, short-term liquid loan that is both over-collateralized and is recourse to the company itself. We have never lost a penny doing it.
And how can other institutions get those loans as well?
According to the law, we are supposed to be lending to depository institutions.
Let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I have a hard time understanding how you have put $2.2 trillion at risk without making those names available, those institutions public. And we're going to introduce legislation today, by the way, to demand that you do that. It is unacceptable to me that that goes on.
The terms, we explain the terms exactly. We explain what the collateral requirements are. We explain what.
To whom did you explain that?
It's on our website.
Yeah. Okay.
So all that information is available in our commercial paper program.
And who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks. Any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Tell us who they are.
No, because
hundreds and hundreds of banks that you'll never know. And what are these banks funding? Who owns these banks? What islands have they been promised in the worlds beyond the pole? I mean, 1.3 trillion, 2.2 trillion, 8.5 trillion. Here's this same Bernanke. Remember I said pay attention to that man. He's showing up all over the place when they're asking, where's the loot? Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Renaki, I'm looking at the report that you handed out this morning, and I was wondering if you could take your copy and turn to page 26.
Okay.
There's a table on page 26 which consists of your balance sheet, and one of the entries on the balance sheet is under assets, central bank liquidity swaps, which shows an increase from the end of 2007 from $24 billion to $553 billion in change at the end of 2008. What's that?
Those are swaps that were done with foreign central banks. Many foreign banks are short dollars and come into our markets looking for dollars and drive up interest rates and create volatility in our markets. What we have done is, with a number of major central banks, like European Central Bank, for example, we swap our currency, dollars, for their currency, euros. They take the dollars, lend it out to the banks in their jurisdiction. That helps bring down interest rates in the global market for dollars. And meanwhile, we're not lending to those banks. We're lending to the central.
This dude is a bullshit artist. Pay attention.
The central bank is responsible for repaying us.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion and you don't know who got the money?
Bullshit artist just said, I don't know. He gave you that long ass, drawn out explanation. The layman would just turn their TV off, just be so boring. And then he says, look, man, stop the play. Who got the loot? Who gets the loot?
And meanwhile, we're not lending to those banks. We're lending to the central bank. The central bank is responsible for repaying us.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
How do you look him in the eye? How do you look at this devil? How do you look him in the eye and say, I don't know? Do you believe him? It's just like that NASA photo. Do you believe these eyes? Or do you think he hasn't? Do you think this pencil neck computer robot, we're going to talk robots for the dismount with Elon Musk. Gangster ass Elon Musk is about to get us on out of here, man. But look at these eyes, man. Look at these robot eyes. Do you think he don't know where trillions of dollars went? He's going to act like he had authority from some legislature back in 2000, or 14. He's going to go back over 100 years to get his authority. He's going to go back 100 years to get his authority to lend out money to foreign nations instead of his own nation. Oh, we do it for American banks too. Nah, he's over here cleaning up, giving foreign banks money and don't even know which ones. You got the authority, but you're going to look us in the eye. First, you said you can't tell us. Then he looks him in the eye and says, I don't even know.
Market for dollars. And meanwhile, we're not lending to those banks. We're lending to the central bank. The central bank is responsible for repaying us.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
Wow.
$500 billion and you don't know who got the money?
The loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates in dollar markets around the world.
Who owns the central banks? Who owns the Fed? Where do your tax money go to? Go to the Queen? Or does it go to these black ops? More lands beyond the poles. This is what they're doing. And their own people still are trying to hold them accountable. But we're not connecting it with their land exploration to Admiral Byrd's land exploration and to this NASA bullshit of exploration in space when they're really doing the exact same thing right in your face in this place on this same plane. They're not going anywhere. They're just going further out. More colonization, more mutilization, man. They're more mutiny. Imagine the people that are still, you know what I'm saying, ripping up and dashing their babies on the rocks. Imagine all the killing they're doing with all this money.
Well, let's start with which central banks got the money.
There are 14 of them, which are listed in our, I'm sure they're listed in here somewhere.
All right, so who actually made that decision to hand out $1 trillion that way, $500 billion? Who made that decision?
The Federal Open Market Committee.
Okay, and was it done at one time or in a series of meetings?
A series of meetings.
And under what legal authority?
We have a long-standing legal authority to do swaps with other central banks. It's not an emergency authority of any kind.
Anything specific about it?
Do you know my counsel says Section 14 of the Federal Reserve Act.
All right, we actually looked at one of the arrangements, and one of the arrangements is $9 billion for New Zealand. That works out to $3,000 for every single person who lives in New Zealand. Seriously, wouldn't it be better to extend that kind of credit to Americans rather than New Zealanders?
How the fuck do you have homeless people doing stupid shit like this unless this is what you're doing for your own people for more worlds beyond the pole? How can you say there's a shortage of anything? Why can't there be free energy by now if you have that much money to waste? You don't even know where trillions of dollars went. You could have solved so many crises. You could have solved all this poverty, man. All this stuff around the world, not just America. What are y'all doing? You don't even know where it's going. Just the rich getting richer, the fat getting fatter.
It's not costing Americans anything. We're getting interest back and it comes back.
It's not costing Americans anything. It's costing the indigenous everything. It's costing you nothing.
Not at the cost of any American credit. We are extending credit to Americans.
Well, wouldn't it necessarily affect the credit markets if you extend $500 billion in credit to anybody?
We are lending to all U.S. financial institutions in exactly the same way.
He's saying you don't have to do it. It will be affecting it the same way if you just invested in your own infrastructure, if you're that type of corporation that cares about the people. But if you're not that type of corporation, called the United States Corporation, which has presidents and vice presidents, which only a corporation would. Where's the king and queen? Oh, the taxes go to the king. The taxes go to the queen. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to the king and queen. To do what? Finance more war. More and more. More worlds beyond the pole.
Look at the next page. The very next page has the U.S. dollar nominal exchange rate, which shows a 20% increase in the U.S. dollar nominal exchange rate at exactly the same time that you were handing out $500 billion to foreigners. Do you think that's a coincidence?
No.
Yes.
All right, well, the Constitution says no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law.
This money is not drawn from the Treasury.
Well, let's talk about that. Do you think it's consistent with the spirit of that provision of the Constitution for a group like the FMOC to hand out $500 billion to foreigners without any action by this Congress?
Congress approved it in the Federal Reserve Act.
When was that?
Quite a long time ago. I don't know the exact date.
100 years ago.
The original act is 1914, I believe.
100 years ago. He says, man, you don't think this is some dumbass shit that you're giving all these trillions of dollars and have no accountability to foreigners? You don't think that's against what our corporation forefathers would have wanted? For some snobby, devil-eyed nigga like you to have your little group and you're getting authority from 100 years ago? You're getting authority from 1914 gives you the authority to fund so-called foreign governments, or are they all working together like the Antarctic Treaty to fund more exploration? To boldly go where no man has gone before.
100 years ago.
The original act is 1914, I believe.
I don't know whether this provision was in 1914 or not, but the Federal Reserve Act was in 1913.
All right, and at that time, the entire gross national product of this country was well under $500 billion, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Is it safe to say that nobody in 1913 contemplated that your small little group of people would decide to hand down $500 billion to foreigners?
This particular
small little group of people would decide to hand down $500 billion to foreigners. At the time, the entire gross national product of this country was well under $500 billion, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Is it safe to say that nobody in 1913 contemplated that your small little group of people would decide to hand down $500 billion to foreigners?
Got him. So you over here living off some dream 100 years ago when even your forefathers of your corporation could not even envision that this little group that we're talking about from 100 years ago would now have the authority to just lose trillions of dollars to other countries, right? When the infrastructure over here, we're supposed to be all this debt. What happened to this debt? Again, they coming after people for PPP loans and all this stuff, but they just giving out money to these banks. They ain't unaccounted for money. This is not only a double standard, it's just letting you know what's the real spiel. That this is really what's happening. There's no accountability. And once you say, okay, there's nothing I can do, at least pay attention to what they're doing. So when we tribe up, we know the bigger picture. Man, that these devils out here being real devilish. And that tribing up is all we got. We all we got. KTC, it's not a mythology. It's to get back in the frequency. Because the earth, Amma, she waking up, she getting back in flow. You know what I'm saying? Mama, you know what I'm saying, has been violated by us because we threw her to the side. Abba has been violated because we threw the code to the side. We threw our frequency to the side that shapes us, forms us, molds us. And now we got these devils, the worst of the heathen, funding their own black ops right in our face bone, saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where it went. Did it go to this bank? Did it go to that bank? I don't know.
This particular authority has been used numerous times over the years.
Well, actually,
we used it before, so we can keep using it.
According to the chart on page 28, virtually the entire amount that's reflected in your current balance sheet went out starting in the last quarter of 2007. And before that, going back to the beginning of this chart, the amount of lending was zero to foreigners. Is that
it was zero before the crisis? Yeah, this was part of the process working with central banks to again to try to get dollar money markets working normally in the global economy.
All right, my time is very limited.
Gentlemen's time is expired.
He's like, you was just a piece of shit. Before 2007, there was zero lending to these foreign entities. Yeah, but there was a crisis, and since then, we just been popping off. Crisis. Everything's under the guise of a crisis. But when you ask them where the money go, their answer is, I don't know.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
Anything to do with setting up shop in these worlds beyond the pole. Anything to do with getting away from what they consider HaWah's wrath. You know, Sodom and Gomorrah, dragons, all these things gotta be more real to you than ever when you see clearly that their money must be going somewhere, funding something. What happens when they get out these ice wall barriers, man? And the thing is that they're getting more resources and they're getting more funding. The rich is getting richer. It takes on a whole new meaning. Especially when you factor in the Magellan Cloud. Golly. There's so many places to build, my noggin. You know what I'm saying? You over here trapped on inner earth. Like a sheep, with their ranchers walking around, not letting you out. Antarctic Treaty, all in your face bone. They're patrolling the wall. These are the guys patrolling the wall, right? So all these countries got their own people patrolling the wall, perhaps the part that they're invested in, right? Because they all going to have a piece in it. They all got them a piece. So now they got a piece of the wall. Now they got their own islands, and they can control their parts of the gateways. They work together, my nigga, so that the rich continues to get richer. You think this is play, don't you? Then where are these 999 billion times 10 trillion dollars at least? I mean, you might as well multiply that times 10. $100 trillion, my nigga. Where's it going? What they doing with it? Where they going? Shit, maybe they are going to Atlantis. Maybe they're going right to Lemuria. I don't know, he said. Where's it going? Where's the money? Bunch of banks got it. Which banks? I don't know. The other time he said, which banks? I can't tell you. Which banks? Which banks is old Thoth monitoring you through and with, and connect this, man, to all your technologies, all your monitoring technologies. Connect this with the Moxie drop, right? He's monitoring everything. They're guarding the gates while we're stuck right here, con. Nah, I believe one day we'll get all our land back. That Nagas will have islands of their own. You know what I mean? That will be popping off again. They say Australia's the bottom. Yeah, you're going to have to find a way out. Go up top, like he said, North Pole. What you going to hit? A 10? A time? You can go over here, South America. What you going to hit? The monitoring island of Thoth. Before you get to Sacagawea and Atum. Or you can go past Africa, but there's no real barrier over there according to this one. So the only ones you're going to get out is that, Indian Ocean drop, Thoth's drop, and way up top. Whose land is it anyway? How many islands do these rich mofos got? What do you think the climate is over here? What do you think the weather is over here? And have you found Nemo? Are we still finding Nemo, man? For the dismount, man, let's look at this Elon Musk. Gangsta ass Elon Musk. Love to the bro Clay, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, shout out to the Clay.
Introducing speech alone.
The Clay was getting the tribe in shape, man. Bringing our fitness to a whole nother level. Bringing that, sweet science back, man. My personal bro that I work with, man, to get these hands right, you know what I'm saying? Love to my bro Clay. Send me this joint right here on this Elon Musk situation. And, this is a whole NASA press conference / SpaceX press conference. And we're going to jump right here to the good stuff for a good 10 minutes for the dismount. You thought I was playing, man. Gangsta ass Elon Musk. Everybody on this panel Everybody on this panel is wearing their mask, right? Look at Elon, though. He got an OG gangster bandana on. They got a couple robots standing guard. It's supposed to be astronauts. Yeah, man. Everyone got a regular mask, but gangster ass Elon over here got a bandana. Let's hear what Bandana Man have to say for the dismount.
It's very, very intense. I suppose it does get a little bit easier, but it's still extremely intense.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Hey, I can't make this stuff up. Look at Bandana Man. Why you think he brought an OG gangster, 1982 bandana, man? You know what I'm saying? He had every choice. He's the richest cat. He could choose any type. He could have a super spacey looking face cover, breathing mask, something you never seen before. He goes to the swap meet and gets him a bandana. He must be laughing at y'all ass, because do you think he thinks this bandana is going to help him stay healthy from a national global health crisis pandemic? I think he's laughing at us. I think he's like, yeah, okay, Corona, Tenderoni. I'll wear my bandana to help save my life. You think he's worried about his life? Wearing a bandana when he could have had some super $1 trillion breathing mask on right now. This dude is wearing a nigga hood rich bandana. You know what I'm saying? He's wearing one of them slim, baby joints from, Cash Money joints. You know what I'm saying? Lil Wayne got the same bandana as this cat. Nuck Nuck got the same bandana 50 years ago. His is fresh out the pack, too. You know what I'm saying? Why'd he choose a bandana, man? What his bandana gangster Elon gotta say? I can't make this shit up.
And I usually can't sleep the night before launch, and that's what's true of the night before this one. So I haven't had much sleep. But unfortunately, we've got a great team that are really proud of the incredible work the team has done in partnership with NASA. And yeah, I suppose it gets a little bit easier, but that's still pretty intense, I have to say. Yeah.
All right. You see there's something wrong with this cat, right? There's something the fuck wrong. I don't care if you think, he talks like that. Notice how much time he pauses. He's lost in his thoughts. He wants to say something he can't say, maybe. Or maybe you're just staring at another Hans and Sophia moment. Maybe we're just looking at a robot, y'all. Because he sure is looking mighty robotic all of a sudden.
It's hard to believe that we're here doing this, quite frankly. Feels like a dream.
Robot.
Thank you. And now we have Bill Harwood with CBS.
Thanks. And again, congratulations to all of you for this launch. 3 Crew Dragon flights in less than a year is quite a record.
Yeah, Dragon flights, right? He's all about launching the Dragon probes, right? So all of his stuff is called Dragon, as we are digging on the reality of popping back off.
And I guess for Mr. Musk, I realize this current flight is less than 2 hours old right now, but can you tell us anything about the schedule for the next flight, the inspiration for a launch schedule? And one question I think a lot of us have is how do you do that flight without working with NASA? I mean, in terms of the crew quarters and suit up and facilities in general. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I think we'll still be obviously coordinating with NASA, and that'll be sort of a free flyer mission with a kind of a big kind of glass dome in the front instead of docking adapter. So
you did say glass dome? Did he just throw out glass dome right in your face, bone, man? Why would this man talking about going into outer space bring up Glass Dome?
This current flight is less than 2 hours old right now, but can you tell us anything about the schedule for the next flight, the inspiration for launch schedule? And one question I think a lot of us have is how do you do that flight without working with NASA? I mean, in terms of crew quarters and suit up and facilities in general. Thanks.
Listen up.
Yeah, well, I think we'll still be obviously coordinating with NASA, and that'll be sort of a free flyer mission with a kind of a big kind of glass dome in the front instead of docking adapter. So it should give quite a different feel for you should really feel like you're in space more than one, because it'll just be you just surrounded by glass. Or
sound like you're trying to say firmament. Or you're gonna feel like you're in space because you're surrounded by this what? Barrier?
Thank you. And now we have Bill Harwood with CBS.
Thanks. And again, congratulations to all of you for this launch. 3 Crew Dragon flights in less than a year is quite a record. And I guess for Mr. Musk, I realize this current flight is less than 2 hours old right now, but can you tell us anything about the schedule for the next flight, the inspiration for launch schedule? And one question I think a lot of us have is how do you do that flight without working with NASA? I mean, in terms of crew quarters and suit up and facilities in general. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I think we'll still be obviously coordinating with NASA, and that'll be sort of a free flyer mission with a kind of a big kind of glass dome in the front instead of docking adapter. So it should give quite a different feel for you should really feel like you're in space more than one, because it'll just be you just surrounded by glass or acrylic technically. But we're looking forward to that mission. But obviously still be working in coordination with NASA for that mission. So that should be hopefully, like as the name suggests, inspiration. And actually, I think that's the thing about human spaceflight is that it's one of those things that makes people excited about the future. You look forward to wake up in the morning and think, hey, what's going to be great about the future? It's like, man, if we're out there and we're a spacefaring civilization and visiting other planets and there's exciting planets, I think that's what.
So you want to visit a bunch of planets. You want to be inspired. Notice he's not really answering too much of the question. He's just trying to take you on a fantastic voyage. He's like a robotic actor. Like you're looking at this guy like, you're the one calling the shots, man. Where did them trillions of dollars go?
Well, I guess one of those things that gets people fired up, Yeah, certainly gets me fired up, obviously.
Fired up, dragon, fired up, dragon. As the name suggests, inspiration. Some might not be like, pay attention to his hand signs. Love to my bro Clay. Pay attention to the, permanent gestures here, man. I don't know, man. Let's go.
Thank you. Now we have Eric Berger with Ars Technica.
Hi, good morning, and congratulations to everyone on this. A couple of questions. First of all, maybe for Steve Stitch, can you comment on the fact that, in less than 4 years, I guess, or it's been about 4 years since SpaceX first launched a Falcon 9 rocket for the second time, the SES-10 mission. Has it been a rapid process to try to get to the certification of the Falcon 9, previously?
Belly flop.
Return people to the moon. It's been now almost half a century.
We're talking moon landing.
We were comfortable with the margins, and so it was quite an extensive effort in 10 months by our team, and an incredible partnership between NASA and SpaceX.
And Elon?
Yeah, it's a great honor to be chosen by NASA to return people to the moon. It's been now almost half a century since humans were last on the moon. It's too long. We need to get back there and have a permanent base on the moon. I think like a big permanently occupied base on the moon.
Like a big permanently occupied base on the moon. How you gonna get there, Eli? How you gonna get past the Van Allen? You're just now testing. You're retesting the shields, right? How you gonna get back there, man? How you gonna land on plasma? Is he gonna go from the moon to Mars? Now he wants a permanent base. He's been saying the same thing for 10 years. They've been at it for 19 years. Now you wanna do manned missions and trick the public again to getting excited about outer space when you really are going to more worlds beyond a pole? Is SpaceX a cover-up for exploration across the poles?
On the moon, and then build a city on Mars and become a spacefaring, like a spacefaring civilization of multi-planet species. We don't want to be one of those single planet species. We want to be a multi-planet species.
Sound like a parasite. Multi-plane species. We want to be everywhere because the Naga's already everywhere. We don't have to say that. That don't sound right coming from the Naga because we are already on all these planes. We already got all this land. We're not off out of Africa. We are all across the earth plane. The Nagas in Pattaya didn't come from Africa. The Nagas in Lemuria and all this didn't come from Africa. These are ancient worlds, more ancient than that continent they call Africa, and so is America.
So, yeah.
Look at this guy. Is this a robot breaking down? Like, look at his, is something wrong with this cat, man? Are we looking at a robot? Listen to him, man.
Humans were last on the moon. It's too long. We need to get back there and have a permanent base on the moon. I think like a big permanently occupied base on the moon, and then build a city on Mars and become a spacefaring, like a spacefaring civilization of multi-planet species. We don't want to be one of those single planet species. We want to be a multi-planet species. So, yeah.
Thank you. Now we have Irene Klotz with Aviation Week.
Thanks, Jackie, and congratulations. That was a really exotic launch this morning. For Elon, how will the funding from HLS impact your design and development and schedule for Starship, and what's been kind of your technological challenges with the project so far?
Well, I mean, this is definitely really helpful, funding the Starship program. It's mostly been funded internally thus far, and it's pretty expensive. As you can tell if you've been watching videos, we've, blown up a few of them. So, excitement guaranteed, one way or another.
One way or another?
It's a tough vehicle to build because we're trying to crack this nut of a rapid and fully and rapidly reusable rocket. And I apologize, I'm a little slow enough to take care of them. Going on not much sleep at all. But the thing
He's trying to apologize for being so slow because we're saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? I ain't got much sleep. Or maybe you're a damn robot.
thing that's really important to revolutionize space is a rapidly reusable rocket. That's reliable too. So that's really what needs to happen. If that can be done, then the cost of access to orbit and beyond can be reduced by potentially a factor of 100 or more. So that's really what is most important about. It's got to be done by somebody's got to do this. And if you have rapid and complete reusability, then that opens up. That is the gateway to the heavens.
We talking gateways, God. Listen to the lingo.
That's what we're trying to get done, and the support of NASA makes a huge difference.
Thank you. To media on the line, just a reminder to focus your questions this morning on the Crew 2 mission. That would be greatly appreciated.
Don't ask him about this other stuff. Don't ask this robot. Focus your questions just on the specific mission. Don't ask him about, is the moon plasma?
Next up, we have Joey Roulette with The Verge.
Hey, thanks, Jackie, and congrats everyone on a good launch. This question's for Elon Musk. From your perspective, I was just wondering if you are plugged in or if you have any idea what the holdup on getting an agreement with the Russians for flying cosmonauts on Crew Dragon is. Would you like to see cosmonauts flying on Crew Dragon sooner than later? And since HLS was mentioned earlier, I was just wondering how soon will Starship be able to put humans on the base? Thanks.
I do not have any insight on that with regard to the cosmonauts, but of course we would be honored to fly cosmonauts on Dragon. But I do not have any insight into any potential objections. I'm not. Perhaps this may be just a communications breakdown. I don't know. But I don't have any insight into it.
I mean, we're actually working through the agreements right now, and I think people understand. And I think we talked about this in the post-FR news conference, that people understand.
Belly flop.
Launched astronauts on a reused Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon, although it's far from the first time you've done that for.
Oh man, we're gonna dodge this hijack together in 3, 2, 1. All right, for the dismount, let's get one more minute, y'all.
Overall for your flight history, I'm curious. As you develop Starship to focus on that rapid full stability as you're flying your manifest with Falcon 9, how many missions do you think you can get out of a Falcon 9 booster? And is that something you're willing to push the limit on to keep flying one until it breaks, or for a Starlink mission, for example, or are you? Do you see like a plateau or a ceiling in terms of flight number for a Falcon 9 booster going forward?
Well, there doesn't seem to be any obvious limit to the reusability of the vehicle. And yeah, we do intend to fly the Falcon 9 booster until we see some kind of a failure with the Starlink missions, obviously.
Now the question is, when they talk about this Falcon and this Dragon and all this, where are they going? Are they flying it as like some type of drone situation? Are they flying it like some military invasion situation? Is Elon Musk just launching off military weapons that they're using to do drone attacks in these other areas? You got to ask the next pertinent questions. By now, you got to pay attention. If you're going to pay attention, make sure you got laser, Eliezer, Dragon focus. What are they launching these boosters for? Reusable for what? Just to go up and come down? Or are they going somewhere else? Are they talking about the Falcon? You think it's just some harmless little piece of space junk? Are they talking about a whole nother craft, what I'm saying, that you don't even know about? Double talk.
Just have that be a life leader. And we're just actually talking in the control room, talking with the between SpaceX and NASA, and we're like wondering, what's the optimal number of launches for? Do you want to be on a brand new booster, or we probably don't want to be on the life leader for a crew mission. But it's probably good to have a flight or two under its belt for the booster to have flown once or twice. I think if it was like an aircraft coming out of an aircraft factory, you'd want the aircraft to probably have gone on a test flight or two before you put passengers on. So I think that's probably a couple of flights is a good number to have for a crew booster. And in the meantime, we'll keep flying the life leader. We've got 9 flights on one of the boosters. We're going to have a 10th flight soon with a Starlink mission. And we're learning a lot about reusability, and it's a hard problem for rockets. I mean, there's a reason it's really, right now, Falcon 9 is the only partially reusable rocket being flown, with the booster coming back and the fairing coming back. But we still can't,
Remember, we're talking outer space, and how does a rocket even work in outer space? With no oxygen, no atmosphere to even blast off of, How does a rocket work in a vacuum? Should be their question.
Reuse the upper stage or the Dragon trunk. And so with the Starship, we're aiming just like hopefully reuse the whole thing. This is a hard problem for rockets, that's for sure. And it's taken us,
and then he just says, this is a hard problem for rockets, that's for sure. Yeah, I think, how does a rocket work in the vacuum of space, Elon?
We're like 19 years in now. But I think we can see the Starship design can work. It's a hard thing to solve. And the support of NASA is very much appreciated in this regard. I don't know. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work.
They're talking about manning spaceships. They're talking about a Starship Enterprise, right? I think it's, you know what, y'all? I think it's gonna work. It's crazy. You know what, man? I think it's gonna work.
Hopefully reuse the whole thing. This is a hard problem for rockets, that's for sure. And it's taken us, we're like 19 years in now. But I think we can see the Starship design can work. It's a hard thing to solve. And the support of NASA is very much appreciated in this regard. I don't know. I think it's gonna work.
I think it's going to work. We're just talking about going to the moon and, traveling, in space. Same thing that happened 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Oh, but we destroyed the technology.
I think it's gonna work.
Wow.
Thank you. And next up, we have David Curley with the Discovery Channel.
Hi there, sorry, unmuting. For anybody, NASA or SpaceX, was Bob Behnken allowed to leave anything for Megan in the Dragon? And Elon, it's been a long journey with the HLS and everything else. On the arc of what you're hoping to do, are you going faster or slower? I know you had some frustrations early, but where do you see bigger picture we are and where we need to go? Thank you.
I guess I'll take the question of Bob.
BYRD right now. I don't know if there's a picture of that, but it's kind of cute. And then, let's see. It's been 19 years since starting SpaceX, and it's been a lot of adventures along the way. Some tough times and a lot of good times. I'd say it's only recently though that I think that I feel that full and rapid reusability can be accomplished. I wasn't sure for a long time, but I'm sure now.
Thank you. And next up, we have Jeff Faust with Space News.
Good morning. Question for Elon Musk. It took years of development to get the Crew Dragon to the point where you could have a successful series of missions like Crew 2 this morning. At what point do you think Starship will be ready to start carrying people? Thanks.
Well, I think we are trying to keep the questions to more limited to this this mission, but it's difficult to speculate with respect to. I don't know. I tend to be as you know, I tend to be somewhat optimistic with respect to schedules. I feel I should acknowledge this. So take that with a grain of salt. But I think it's not out of the question that it could be ready for fly people in a couple of years. Obviously, we need to not be making craters, Otherwise, it's like hop in. We're going to Mars. No, not quite, not yet. It's got some work to do, but making rapid progress. I think we got to make sure we're accelerating the rate of innovation, and then it could be ready in a couple of years.
Thank you. Now we have Eric Nyler with BYRD.
Greetings. Congratulations to everybody.
Senator Bill Nelson mentioned a 2024 timetable for a lunar landing through HLS during a confirmation hearing on Capitol Hill, and I'm just wondering
2024 lunar landing on the plasma, Elon?
From Elon whether that's kind of a crazy talk, or is that something you feel optimistic about?
I think that can be done. Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Robot.
I mean, I think we're building a lot of rockets, and we're gonna probably smash a bunch of them. But I think it will happen. I think 2024. This seems likely.
What do y'all feel about this for the dismount? I mean, is this just a big crock of shit? It's kind of like old boy saying, we don't know where the money went. They don't know where the money went. Okay, let's put this together. They don't know where the money went. He thinks this could happen. Admiral Byrd's talking about a land the size of America, beyond the pole points. We don't know where the money went. Maybe we can land on the moon. Maybe it's a plasma. But it looks like a possibility.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we're building a lot of rockets, and we're gonna probably smash a bunch of them. But I think it will happen. I think 2024. This seems likely. We're gonna aim for sooner than that, but I think I think this is actually doable. Yes.
Thanks. We have time for one more question. Camden Hall from Talk of Titusville.
Thanks for taking my question. My question is for Elon. Where were you watching the launch from? Were you in the LCC like you were for Demo 2 or somewhere else? Thanks.
Yeah, I was in launch control, and yeah. It's funny. It's the same place. The same launch control at where the lunar missions were launched from. It's pretty wild. It's the same windows, same glass.
Lunar.
So it's a little hard to see out at night. During the day, it's a lot easier to see out. The view from the roof is actually better than the view from launch control. But you get to see all the data there. So yeah. I don't know. The future's looking good. I think we're at the dawn of a new era of space exploration.
People, if this don't seem robotic to you by now, after looking at that Hans and Sophia, for the dismount, man, are we just staring at a robot the whole time? Have we been looking at a robot the whole time, man?
It's a little hard to see out at night. During the day, it's a lot easier to see out. The view from the roof is actually better than the view from launch control. But you get to see all the data there. So yeah. I don't know. The future's looking good.
Robot.
I think we're at the dawn of a new era of space exploration.
Robot.
Thank you again to all of our speakers and to our reporters. That's going to wrap.
Hey, I mean, gangsta ass Elon done told you to watch out now. It's all happening.
But I think we can see the Starship design can work. It's a hard thing to solve, and the support of NASA is very much appreciated in this regard. I don't know. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, you think so?
Thank you. And next up, we have David Curley.
Hey, Elon thinks it's going to work, man. He thinks it's popping off. Love to Clay, my bro Clay, for that, man. Hey, look, man. All right. Missing monies all over the place. $8 trillion, man.
$6.5 trillion of taxpayer cash have gone to defense programs, none of which has been audited. And this black budget has sparked concerns over political fraud, as Gainet Chikan now reports.
The Pentagon is almost certainly the biggest source of waste in the U.S. government. A Reuters investigation says since 1996, the Pentagon has spent $8.5 trillion in taxpayer money that has never been accounted for. Nobody can say for sure how many billions of that amount were wasted on goods and services that were never delivered, on overpayments to contractors, and many other things. What does Congress do about it? Nothing. And national security expert Steve Miles is here with me to help us crunch these numbers. $8.5 trillion unaccounted for?
It's a lot of money. This is the kind of thing that you would think would bring
money.
Capitol Hill to a screeching halt. There'd be hearings kind of almost daily. You'd have various committees looking into it. None of that. It just leads to massive waste, and there can be all sorts of fraud that you don't know about. Just one example, when the Inspector General looked at Iraq, which was, a lot of money, but in the grand scheme, just a portion of the money the U.S. spends. What they found was about $50 billion of the money the U.S. spent there was wasted. And about $6 billion was completely lost. They had no idea where it went. It was completely unaccounted for. But put that in perspective, that's about this amount of money that other countries would spend on their defense in a year total. And that's just the loose pocket change that we lost in the counts.
One thing I found very interesting in this report is that the Pentagon apparently uses a standard operating procedure to enter false numbers, or so-called plugs, to cover lost or missing information in their accounting in order to submit a balanced budget to the Treasury. So they can write in everything.
That's probably the most shocking part of this, is that they get to the end of the day and they say, oh, there's money missing. What do we do? Well, we'll just put a number in there that says it's there, and we'll sort it out later. I mean, again, this is the type of operating practice that if you did it in your own business, if you tried to do it with your own taxes for the government, they'd haul you off to jail.
What contributes to the massive waste is the fact that for 2 decades, the Pentagon has dodged an audit, which means nobody checked if the numbers in their accounting made any sense. Congress has just passed a budget that allocates around $630 billion to the Pentagon, roughly the same amount as last year. How much of that will be wasted? Taxpayers will never know. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chekan, RT.
Washington needs to wake up and start cracking down on unaccountable overspending at the Pentagon. That's the view of retired U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor.
I have actually been in this position when I was the Director of Joint Operations at SHAPE headquarters. For reasons that I didn't understand, my pay was suddenly reduced, and it took a year to ultimately straighten it out. And then subsequently, I was paid money that I had actually earned, but for reasons that no one could explain, had not been paid to me. My point is that you're dealing with millions of people and a lot of instability, a lot of movement, and it's a difficult system to work effectively. This is an enormous problem, and this is something that absolutely must be addressed, and addressed in a forthright manner. At the moment, no one on Capitol Hill seems terribly concerned.
And the U.S. intelligence expert Gordon Duff says lawmakers have become increasingly corrupted by their ties to the military industry.
We have so many...
But they don't know.
Any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount...
Tell us who they are.
No, because the reason that it's counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to the...
Isn't that too bad?
Or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount...
Tell us who they are.
No, because...
So in one instance, he says, I don't know who they are. Here he says, I can't tell you who they are.
Because the reason that it's counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to the...
Isn't that too bad?
Sorry?
In other words, isn't that too bad? They took the money, but they don't want to be public about the fact that they received it. We heard a whole lot.
They took the money, but they don't want to tell you where the money's going. Do you know, sir?
Got the money to financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
So here he doesn't know about these financial institutions.
Repaying us.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
I don't know. Here he knows, but he won't say which was.
Will not come to the business.
Isn't that too bad?
Sorry?
In other words, isn't that who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks, any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Tell us who they are.
No, because...
I don't know becomes, no, I can't tell you, right? I can't tell you how we're funding more land beyond the pole. My naga, it's time to get oriented, get off the play, and know that even they don't know or don't want to show or don't want to say something. So whatever Elon's talking about can't be, disconnected to what the bread trail has already been showing us. That the money's gone missing. They put a T at the end of plane to make you feel like you're on a spinning ball, but plane can't turn into a sphere. A planet cannot be anything but more world beyond a pole. Can't go back to the moon because the moon is a plasma. And they lost the technology. But maybe Elon said it's possible, right? He said it's looking pretty good, Elon said. They can't get back. They don't have the, the technology to get past the Van Halen belt. But Elon says, you know what, man? I'm feeling pretty good about this. Why not? It can happen.
Do you want to be on a brand new booster, or well, you probably don't want to be on the life leader for a crew mission. But it's probably good to have a flight or two under its belt for the booster to have flown once or twice. I think if it was like an aircraft coming out of an aircraft factory, you'd want the aircraft to probably have gone on a test flight or two before you put passengers on. So I think that's probably a couple of flights is a good number to have for a crew booster, and in the meantime we'll keep flying the life leader. We've got 9 flights on one of the boosters. We're going to have a 10th flight soon with a Starlink mission, and it's starting SpaceX, and it's been a lot of adventures along the way. Some tough times and a lot of good times. I'd say it's only recently though that I think that I feel that full and rapid reusability can be accomplished. I wasn't sure for a long time, but I'm sure now.
Thank you. And next up, we have Jeff.
Grain of salt, but I think it's not out of the question that it could be ready for fly people in a couple of years. Obviously, we need to not be making craters, otherwise, it's hop in. We're going to Mars. No, not quite, not yet. It's got some work to do, but making rapid progress. I think we got to make sure we're accelerating the rate of innovation, and then it could be ready in a couple of years.
Thank you. Now we have Eric Nyler with Why.
I think we're building a lot of rockets. Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah, Elon, I think it's time to come clean. Real or fake? Why can't they go back? Where's the money going? I don't know. But it sure seems like they're finding more new worlds, just like they found me and you, beyond the pole. Stay up. Suit up.